Memphis today, home of the Blues, and B.B. King's music. How about those great ribs? The steamboat rides on the mighty Mississippi, a city where W.C. Handy is known as the father of the blues. No, it's not hoops in the pyramid. We're in the Liberty Bowl as the Memphis Tigers of Conference USA take on number 11 Miami from the Big East. Welcome to the Liberty Bowl. We're glad to have you along. I'm Don Russell, and it's my pleasure to have as my teammate for the next 12 Saturday afternoons, Anthony Munoz. And Anthony, we saw the beginning last night at Conference USA. Anytime you begin a new league, Miami saw it in the Big East. There's a lot of excitement.
That's true, Don, and the excitement comes for the end of the season. There's a championship that's involved in this conference play, and along with that championship, it's the Liberty Bowl December 27th.
Let's talk about the Hurricanes of Miami. They're ranked number 11 in the nation in their season opener. Butch Davis and his first year last year. There was a lot of concern early. They started 1-3, but ripped off their last 7 games with victories to finish up 8-3, but he doesn't have everybody available in this opening game.
That's true. We have to take a look at this list of players that aren't here today, and they're all important to this football team, but the ones that really stand out to me are the wide receivers right there. The reason I mention that, because one player, Ryan Clement, the quarterback, Coach Davis says this guy has to step his play up. He is the important player this year. All of a sudden, you eliminate those wide receivers, and one of the things that Coach Davis told us was that he cannot force things and make the mistakes. He has to play within himself, and when you eliminate those wide receivers, he might want to press a little more, and he cannot afford to do that.
And Daniel Ferguson, the 1,000-yard rusher from a year ago, not available. The 1-game suspension, that's going to hurt as well. Let's turn our attention to the Memphis Tigers. Rip Shear, a rookie coach last year as well. They really had trouble, Anthony, hanging on to the football, but one thing they've always done well here in the Memphis town, and that's play some tough defense.
Tough defense, and no better guy to lead this defense than their middle linebacker, Richard Hogan's. Preseason first team Conference USA, all Conference USA, along with being a Butkus award candidate. And the thing that impressed me about Hogan's was his perspective on the defense. I asked him, are all the accolades, does that put extra pressure on you? He said, no way, because this is team defense, and I'm one of 11 guys that has to play.
You know, when we talked to both the coaches and the coordinators, I think it was a consensus. Both coaches really feel like that the game's going to be won in the trenches, especially in the season opener.
And a little different story for both teams. You look at the Memphis Tigers, their offensive line, they've made big strides over the offseason. They feel they're a lot better. Then you look at the Hurricane offensive line, they have 9 guys that have a lot of starting experience. They have their 5 starters, but they feel they have a second unit that could be starting as well.
It's time to get serious, and they're just like that here in Memphis. Marvin Thomas and Richard Hogan's will be back to the Liberty Bowl, our Conference USA Game of the Week, Memphis and Miami, in a moment. In the Liberty Bowl in Memphis as we open the season, number 11 Miami out of the Big East, and the Memphis Tigers, now of course a member of Conference USA. It's a beautiful afternoon. The players will probably think, though, it's a little bit hot, because we have a very high temperature and humidity, and here in the Mid-South this time of year, it can be very, very important in the ball game. 88 degrees, 74% humidity. We're so pleased to have a third member of our telecast team, and he's down on the surface of the Liberty Bowl. Let's check in now with Brian Allen.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. You know, there's probably a lot of Miami and Big East fans out there saying that Miami's going to walk out of here with a win. Well, as the song says, it ain't necessarily so. The last 2 times that Memphis has opened up with a ranked team, they have come out on top. First, in 1993, they beat Mississippi State 45-35, great victory there. And then in 1991, they beat a small school in Southern California, 24-10. At the time, they were ranked number 14.
That happened to be Southern California. They have been reminding you of that, Anthony.
Hey, Brian, I want to thank you today, because it's only been about 20 times that I've had that reminder in the last 2 days.
Rip Shear, the head football coach here at the University of Memphis. Yes, it's an important game, but it's not the entire season.
The thing I've tried to caution our team against is to put too much stock in one game. We've got an 11-game season. We've got a conference finally to focus on, and a conference championship. And I'm afraid if we try to put too much on one game, and this particular game, regardless of how it comes out, because if you win it, then you think that, you know, well, everything's downhill from here, and if you lose it, you think the season's over.
So Rip Shear feels a lot better. He's created a real family atmosphere. He kind of got rid of a lot of players, 16 of them gone. He said either change your attitude or change your address, and most of them changed their address, but he really feels good about things.
Well, Don, being around the campus, being around the practice, you got that feeling. You got the feeling of the family atmosphere, not just something that they were talking about. You talk to the players on both sides of the ball, and that's what they say.
Butch Davis, boy, you know him from the Dallas Cowboys, and he has handled the off-season situation so well, Anthony. He might have been a Cowboy, but he's the sheriff in Coral Gables, I'll tell you.
He sure is, and we were sitting there as they walked through yesterday, and he quoted one of the NFL owners, and it's just all about business. He says, we have to get down to business, and he quoted Al Davis of the Raiders, just win, baby, and that's what it's all about. He said, we have the players here that are going to play for us. We can't worry about the players that aren't here.
You saw this is the rubber match, so to speak, in this series. Each team winning a game. The last one, Miami won easily down in the Orange Bowl. You're seeing the Hurricanes in all-white uniforms for the first time since the 1977-78 season when Lou Saban was the football coach. And the Hurricanes will have the first opportunity, but they'll not bring it out as the kick is deep into the end zone, and the Canes will go on the offense. It'll be first and 10 for the Miami Hurricanes from their own 20. Of course, Miami last year, we mentioned 8-3. They had the option of when to take the postseason probation, and they elected last year not to go to a bowl game. So Ryan Clement and company, you look at the junior out of Denver, Colorado, and they're ready to rock and roll for this season and hope to be playing in several games at the end of the year. Of course, we mentioned Ferguson not available. McMillan is number 28, and he gets the carry, and not much there. A lot of blue shirts that swarm to the football for the Memphis defense. And offensively, as you look at McMillan, who is starting in place of Danielle Ferguson, had a lot of work in the preseason offensively. You look at McMillan and the rest of the group, and some talented players. And that offensive line, Anthony mentioned it, very strong. K.C. Jones, the center, one of the best in the nation. Second down and 9, this time a little delay, and McMillan gets away from one Tiger and squirts up about 2 yards shy of the first down. Jeremy Stewart, the strong side safety, wrapped him up. Number 2, the sophomore out of Memphis.
Don, right now they're calling on that experienced offensive line. They don't have those wide receivers there, so the first play they come out in 3 tight ends, try to pound the ball, and I'm sure the Memphis defense likes that because they believe that's the strength, and they want people to run right at them.
Out of the I formation, Clement now with a check off as he checks out the backfield, and he gives it off to McMillan, the second man, and he picks up the first down. Tony Williams, the left tackle, a senior out of Germantown, Tennessee, and a good first down run by the sophomore out of Bradenton, Florida.
Well, we talked about Richard Hogan's in the opening. There's another guy, Tony Williams, on that defense. As we see right here, nothing fancy about what Miami's doing right now. Just giving the ball to McMillan, saying just get after him. And you have a guy like Hogan's in the middle, and I mentioned Tony Williams at 282. You got your work cut out for you.
McMillan, 5'8", 217 pounds and a sophomore. Here's a pass in and out of the hands. Carlo Joseph, the fullback, was wide open, but you have to think in the initial game he was A, running before B, in this case, catching the football.
The old classic, maybe checking out to see who's running towards him before he catches the football. And it's interesting that he might have to keep checking who's running because word has it, Richard Hogan's has his sight set on number 40, Carlo Joseph, this afternoon. Knows he's the key to this football game, and that's firing up Richard Hogan's.
Once again, the I formation, receivers left and right, flags down as we had some early movement. McMillan, the carry, not much there, but we'll check out the game's first penalty flag. Marcus Gary, the strong side linebacker, a senior from Tupelo, Mississippi. Of course, Graceland here, Elvis's home, but he was born in Tupelo.
Offside. Defense, 5 yards. Repeat, second down.
probably an indication as we look at the defense, and Marvin Thomas, a young man, the right end, already graduated. The only one in his family to do so. He's very proud of that, going to graduate school. Those are good linebackers, and Hogan's the guy we highlight there. He's a headhunter. And the secondary much improved as well. Kevin Cobb, the leader, and he has a twin brother that we'll see on the offense as a running back today. Once again, McMillan gets the carry, and he's elusive, fumbles the ball, and Memphis picks it up. The Tigers get the first opportunity as Keith Spann, the senior from Jackson, Tennessee, picked it up. Kevin Cobb, number 7, is the guy that created it, and the Tigers have the first game break.
Well, we'll take a look at this Miami offense, how well that offensive line is moving out the Memphis front. But one mistake, McMillan needs to hold on to the football. Right there, you see it squirt loose. And one thing about this Memphis defense is over the last 26 games, they've forced 25 turnovers, so let's make it 26 in the last 27 games.
And you saw the nice play by Cobb, number 7, to knock it loose. Cadre Anderson and the Memphis offense goes to work. Anderson, of course, the senior out of Oakland, California, came as a junior college transfer a year ago. In the first series against Mississippi State, he was injured and missed the next 2 ball games, and Anthony really never got back into the swing of things. But now he's healthy. He's very elusive. A gain of 3. Unbalanced backfield this time behind Anderson. And Anderson's looking up top. He can scramble. And he has the Memphis first down. That will be something that the Hurricanes will really have to work on, is containment with Cadre Anderson.
Well, that was one of the things that defensive coordinator Bill Miller said they would have to contain. As we look, great pocket here for the quarterback Anderson. You'll see the white jerseys pretty much stopped. He's got that pocket there, but all of a sudden he starts to see a little pressure late. He says, well, I'm just going to take it around that right end because the contained man is not there. He runs it for a first down.
Nice block downfield by Chris Reeves. This time the Tigers go to Reeves, who threw the block this time as the fullback, the junior, the ball carrier. And the Memphis Tiger offense is one that I'm sure Rip Shear and company, Sparky Woods, the offensive coordinator, hopes to improve. Cobb, we highlight, moved from defensive back to running back, was a running back in high school, and that offensive line with Newton, a young man we're going to talk about later, that overcame an injury just about a couple of weeks ago. Second down at about 6. To the near side, here's Cobb, and he's inside the 15-yard line. Tony Coley made the stop, and the Miami defense, much maligned last year because they gave up a lot of yards early in the season, but Fortney and company this year very determined to uphold that tradition of that great Miami defense, and the freshman Mack in the middle of the linebackers. And a good secondary. They had 8 guys competing for 4 spots. Mack is the speedster. You could see him on offense today. Third down and a short 3. It goes to Cobb, and he's going to be very, very close to the first down marker.
Don, this Memphis offense, well aware of the speed that Miami has. How do you attack a speed defense? You have to counter them, you have to trap them, and they've run 2 counter traps here in this first series. But they're just telling their offensive linemen that for the first time this year, I have a stat here, in 1996, this season, their line averages 289.8. 5 years ago, they only averaged 267.6, so they're much bigger. They're letting them just come off the ball now.
The Tigers have a 4th and 1. They're going to take a timeout to talk it over. Anderson and company trying to take advantage of a Miami turnover. Back to the Liberty Bowl, our Conference USA Game of the Week. Well, the Tigers knocking on the door. They'll face a 4th down and 1 against the Miami Hurricanes here in the first quarter after a turnover by the Hurricanes. And last year, a lot of success on 4th down plays, and the Tigers going for it here in the first quarter. Full house backfield behind Cadre Anderson. And he gives it to Cobb, and I don't know, he might have appears to have made the first down, but only with the second effort.
That's a key point right there. He was wrapped up by a Miami defender, but with second effort, he got the first down. That was Earl Little who made the hit, but there was no way he was going down. He just took it, extra effort. And it was the three tight ends, the full house backfield, and they just punched it right into that Miami defense.
Earl Little had him around the ankle, but Cobb getting his first start as a running back as a Memphis Tiger, and he gets the carry again and squirts inside the 10 to about the 8-yard line.
That was one of the things they were talking about with Cobb. He makes that first guy miss, and in that play, prior play to this last one, the guy had him wrapped up, but he still did not come down as Earl had him wrapped up.
Cobb has carried the ball now on 4 consecutive plays, and Memphis now will face a second down inside the 10. They can still get a first down just inside the 1-yard line. No score. You see it in the first quarter, our Conference USA game of the week. Anderson flips it out. Open is Reeves. He makes the catch, fumbles the ball, but he fumbles it out of bounds. But the fumble cost him a couple of yards. Normally you see it go forward. This time it went in the other direction.
And that was a nice open field tackle by Twan Russell, number 45, the weak outside linebacker, as they put him one-on-one. Right there you see this Memphis offensive line giving Anderson plenty of time to throw the football. Right there, Chris Reeves just lowers the shoulder and the ball comes out, but it was a nice hit by Twan Russell.
Andre Anderson, you know, this senior is really excited about his final season. Most likely simply due to the fact that he's healthy. And here's Anderson. He can run out of the pocket, but a good play by the Miami defense as Anderson this time did not get away as he slid inside the 10-yard line, and then we're going to see the field goal unit of the Memphis Tigers.
Don, right there, it was number 90, Kenny Holmes, coming off a game, a twist between another defensive lineman, and when Anderson decided to pull it down and run, Holmes was right there saying, not this time and not this way like you did to the other side last time.
26-yard field goal for Jimmy Keith. It's down, the kick is on the way, plenty of distance, and it's wide to the right. So the Tigers cannot take advantage of the Miami turnover. And, you know, Butch Davis and company breathing a lot easier. It's tough on the kickers in the first game. We saw a short one go wide right. Back to Memphis in a moment. USA Football is brought to you by Power Bar, fuel for optimum performance, and by Southwest Airlines with low fares on every flight, every seat, every day. Back in the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, Miami escapes a potential scoring opportunity from Memphis as Keith had a good shot at this one, and from my vantage point as an old kicker, looks like he peaks a little bit here, Anthony. Looked up a little bit too quick and just got it outside the bar.
Pushed a little right, kind of like my golf shots. I hit him to the right, to the left, but right there, perfect hold. The ball was set down.
And when you're a kicker and you do that, you know what you do? You hide.
In a hurry.
In a hurry is right. So Miami takes it over, 1st and 10 from the 20, and they're going long, but good coverage downfield that time. It was intended for Magic Benton, but Duran Sutton was there with him step for step, the cornerback. Little play action pass from the beginning.
You know, it's interesting with this offense that the Hurricanes run. One of the things they look to in this offense is right here, they try to get it with Magic Benton here, is the wide receivers need to make big plays, but excellent coverage right there by Duran Sutton. There wasn't a crack in that coverage. Therefore, you can't get a big play.
So that brings up a 2nd down and 10. Again, Clement checking off at the line of scrimmage. And we have a flag, and this play will not get going at all as McMillan ends up with the football, but the officials out of the Big East today rule it dead, and it's going to be a motion penalty against the Miami Hurricanes. McMillan, as we mentioned, Anthony, Ferguson, despite the fact he had the great year last year, you see the infraction against the Canes, didn't practice a whole lot. Ferguson had some nagging injuries, so McMillan got a lot of snaps carrying the ball in practice, so as it turned out, that's probably pretty important.
Not only is this a great opportunity for McMillan, but the coaches were excited because they said he had an exceptional camp, and it was from all that work that he got.
It was Ferguson and Yatel Green that just found out yesterday they would not be available. Across the middle it goes. It's caught by Trent Jones. Excuse me, it does go to Magic Benton, number 8, not number 6. It was Kevin Cobb on the coverage.
Right there, you're looking at Magic Benton. There's a quick pass to him. They're trying to get the ball out quickly, mix it up. A great shot. You're the quarterback now. You see things. You see the rush coming. Right there, you see him flash across the middle. He's looking downfield, but if you got the guy wide open there, give it to him. Let him try to make something happen, but not that time.
That penalty, by the way, was for 12 men on the field. That was the procedure penalty against the Canes. A lot of pressure. Clement, though, keeps his balance. It dumps it off to McMillan. Not anything there for the Canes, but an amazing play by Ryan Clement, the junior, at 6'1", 212. He had a couple of Tigers on his tail, and he still got rid of it, Anthony.
Couple big Tigers. Tony Williams at 282 and Marquise Bowling were right there, had him around the legs. But they talk about Ryan Clement. They talk about how he's matured, and right there he showed some maturity and poise.
Andy Crossland, the punter. And it comes to rest at the 46-yard line of the Memphis Tigers. Both kickers, place kicker and punter for the Canes, first-year kickers, a 34-yard punt. That time off the foot of Andy Crossland, a redshirt freshman from Dallas, Texas.
Talked about that Memphis defense so far in this first quarter. They're doing a super job causing a turnover, and right here they hold them, force them to punt, giving their offense excellent field position.
Damian Dotson, one of the most sought-after players in the nation from here in Memphis, a true freshman, goes wide right. Anderson back to throw, penalty marker down, and they're going for Dotson, but it falls incomplete. So we did have a penalty flag on the play.
Right there, Anderson showed some good poise. He had a free play because as they signal offense on the Hurricane defense, he went through the play trying to hit Damian deep. Little play action. They've been running the ball successfully.
Outside defense, 5 yards. Repeat the down. First down.
See, Don mentioned the play action pass. They've been pounding the football, and all of a sudden they come out, play action. Right here you see Damian Dotson right here. He's got a step on him, being double covered. Tremaine Mack lagging behind a little bit, but the ball overthrown a bit.
So that's 5 yards the easy way, but Memphis looks like they're going to give it right back. Looked like the right side of the line moved early. Josh Miller, Ron Sells. But we'll check out the flag, and indeed it is against the Tigers. Yeah, we mentioned Dotson a moment ago. He and Kenton Evans, two of the...
Ball start. Offense. 5 yards. Replay 1.
Two local products that everybody recruited, Anthony. They stayed at home, and Rip Sheard knows that they'll help the team, but more importantly, that sends a message to a hotbed of talent here in the Memphis area.
First of all, Don, it gives this university some credibility. They can keep two super athletes like that at home. That gives them the open door into the high schools, and I said credibility is big.
Keith Cobb gets the carry again. Cobb, an interesting story. We mentioned the fact he has a twin brother. They were involved in a unique play last year where brother Kevin blocked a punt, and brother Keith picked it up and got the touchdown. You don't see that happen very often. But Cobb, a tailback in high school, rushed for over 2,500 yards, but he made the move from defensive back last spring, and they feel he has a lot of potential running the football. Number 6 for the Memphis Tigers. No score first quarter. Anderson to throw, too high, off the hands of Richie Floyd, a sophomore from Mayfield, Kentucky, who they feel really good about, but has had nagging injuries.
He's had a lot of nagging injuries, and I was impressed watching him out at practice. He had good hands. He was really smooth. Right here you see some pressure by Holmes, number 90. Right there, just as Anderson unloads the football, the ball was thrown high. Getting back to Richie Floyd, the coach was impressed because he said this kid can stand right under the basket, slam dunk the basketball behind his neck. But if he can get over those injuries, they're counting on him to do some big things in this 96 season.
Not much for Anderson through the air, but he does have a 10-yard run. And is he going to run again? He looks like he might. He tucks it away, and he will. And he's pulled down on on the far sideline. Again, it was Russell, I think, that made the play defensively. But Anderson's a guy you always have to respect, Anthony, because he's one of those players that can make something happen.
There's no question about it. Has great feet, great mobility, can move around back there. In fact, you know, we saw a little bit of the option running game when we were out at practice, and that Miami is well aware that in their defensive scheme, they have to keep containment on him or he can make the big play running the football.
You look at Drew Paramore, those were his numbers in 95. Magic Benton back to receive it. It's a low kick, and they tell Benton to get away from it, and it rolls out of bounds just about at the 20-yard line, and the Hurricanes will go back on the offense. 34-yard punt. We have a scoreless game on a beautiful day, and Memphis's Liberty Bowl. Back for more in a moment. Butch Davis, of course, looks on the sideline. Again, they'll start at the 20. It's an important game to begin the year. You're ready to play, and this is what Butch thought about opening the year.
I think efficiency in the first games are always important. I think certainly that, you know, you want to go out there and certainly you want to play hard. I don't think there'll be any question that both teams are going to play at an emotional high. First game of the season, guys are all going to be jacked up, but playing smart, not going out and doing the traditional first game things like committing an overabundance of penalties and busting mental assignments and those types of things that give you a lot of negative plays, one side of the ball or the other, that really put you in adverse field position.
Butch Davis running out of room for rings. He has 2 Super Bowl rings with the Cowboys and, of course, one with the Hurricanes as an assistant. But the story so far has been the Memphis defense as Magic Benton makes the catch, but not much there. Miami has started all 3 drives from the 20-yard line.
Yeah, the impressive thing about this Memphis defense is we look right here, just a quick turnaround, quick pass, but then you'll see how quick they close in and make the tackle for hardly any gain at all. And that's what this Memphis defense has been doing, giving them the underneath stuff, but coming up and hitting them hard.
Sutton, you saw, made the nice defensive play. This time McMillan, he's a darter, but he runs into a host of blue shirts. But he's a strong little cuss as he was able to get a couple of tough yards, despite the fact Richard Hogan's and a lot of help from his friends were there to wrap him up.
You mentioned the help from his friends. That left defensive end, Marquise Bowling, really stretched that play out, made the back cut it back inside, and when you do that, you have Richard Hogan's right there to gain another tackle.
Of course, Hogan's a pre-season Conference USA selection, and Bowling, a young man that earned a scholarship in the 95 year. 3rd and 4. Clement across the middle to the big tight end. Wow. He caught it and then dropped it. Let's see what the ruling is. If it's a catch, it's going to be close to the first down. It was Gerald Daphnes, a senior from Miami Norland, that made the stop.
And Don, the guy coming up, number 13, Deron Sutton, as soon as the football's caught, he turns it upfield, and he's right there. Another great hit by that defense, but they can't come up with the football. It's a first down for the Hurricanes. This defense is sending a message early in the game here. You're coming to our place, and we're going to hit you guys. Right there, Daphnes losing the football.
Here's McMillan, though, and he breaks free for the first down and then some as he moves it across the Canes 45 near the 47-yard line. And Daryl McMillan from Southeast High School in Bradenton, Florida, rips off a 15-yard gain. That's his 95 number.
Don, a little bit of Memphis medicine right there. The Hurricanes have been trying to pound it straight ahead, running outside. And right there, they run a little counter trap, get the ball going, get the flow going defensively, and cut it back on a big gainer.
Final 3 minutes of the scoreless first quarter. Don Russell, Anthony Munoz, Brian Allen, and our Conference USA crew. Our producer, Tom Hewitt, director, Chris Lincoln and company. We're glad you joined us today. And what has been a good one so far, Marvin Thomas on the defense is the carry this time from Carlo Joseph, the sophomore fullback for the Canes.
Very impressed with another player on that defense, Marvin Thomas. You know, he sat there and spoke to us. You mentioned that he had graduated, the only one in his family, but just their whole perspective on what it's going to take for this Memphis defense to be or to reach the goal that they have, and that's #1 in the country, and that's for all 11 guys to be swarming to the football. And so far in this first quarter, they've been doing that.
Well, we have a temporary delay as they check out something over on the sideline, possibly with the change. That's the thing about football. Of course, you were the big old lineman. You were in the middle of all the action, but here when you're in the press box, it's about as impersonal as it's ever going to be. You liked the heat of the action, though, didn't you?
That was the best. You know, there was a few words that were said down there in the line of scrimmage, and had a chance to learn a little bit about other players, and not necessarily from the player that you're learning about it, because there's players on the other side of the ball that were telling you things about players, so you learn that way.
See, they get the new fancy sideline deals, and now they have trouble. Let's check in with Brian Allen now about the Memphis defense. Brian.
Yeah, right now the defense is very hyped up about what's going on. The first 2 series, they were very emotional, talking about they can play with Miami or any team out there hitting very hard. The coaches want to make sure that they don't get too lost in that emotion and penetrate the defensive linemen, do a lot of penetrating and the ends to contain Ryan Clement.
So I tell you what, the Memphis defense and Ryan Clement over on the sideline, you can bet he's been talking to Larry Coker, the offensive coordinator upstairs. And Clement now still looking over to the sideline, and now they're going to have to make a change. The first substitution of the sideline marker, the down marker of the 1996 season. See, you get rid of the old fancy kind, you flip over. They go with now these digital deals where you move them up and down. Technology didn't work.
That's right. Right. Well, that was one of the new ones. I thought myself they were bringing the old kind you flip over, and unless it falls off the little hinge, you don't have any problems with the old ones. But you know, things are being made better. At least they're supposed to be made better. Not the case on that first one.
2nd down and 7. Once again, early movement. McMillan gets the carry and is going to have close to first down yardage for the Canes, but flags are all over the surface here at the Liberty Bowl. First time that the Hurricanes have been in Tiger territory in this one. If you joined us a little bit late, Miami committed a turnover. Memphis had an opportunity.
Offside. Defense. Decline. Results of the play. First down.
So that tells the story. It is a first down. Memphis missed a 26-yard field goal in a scoring chance after the Miami turnover.
Ryan Clement doing an excellent job with the inflection of the snap count, and therefore you get those defensive linemen that are ready to get across, but a little too soon.
Here's McMillan. Boy, that time he ran into Richard Hogan's, and you talk about a bear hug. He got a hold of the 5'8", 217-pound sophomore McMillan and just wrapped him up.
You know, the thing about this defense, Don, is they expect the front four to get the pressure on the quarterback in the pass. They expect the front four to create things, and they do. And all of a sudden, you get one of the guys in the middle, Richard Hogan's, comes up and cleans it up. Not a big blitzing football team defensively. A lot of confidence in that front 7.
Out of the eye, a gain of a couple of yards. Clement for the first time on the rollout and underthrew the intended receiver, Carlo Joseph. Clement, normally a pocket passer, this time came to the near side, but underthrew that pass.
You know, just as I was talking about this defense not being a blitzing defense, they showed the backers coming up, in there tough, and all of a sudden when the ball snapped, they back off. You know, defensive coordinator Jim Fletcher says it's a matter of picking your spots. It's a tempo changer when you blitz, and right there they showed it, but they didn't come.
A big 3rd down play and a scoreless first quarter. And Ryan Clement to the air, and it's batted down. So the Memphis defense doing an outstanding job of keeping the Miami offense off balance in this one. And the crowd appreciates the solid D.
Don, just as I was talking about the four-man line, you see right here they come with the 3-man rush. Number 69, Manny Santabana, is right there. He gets up with that nice vertical jump and knocks the ball down.
So on the Miami punt, it's a good one as it comes to rest. No return as the Canes down it at the 9-yard line. Good job by Fulcher that time on special teams to get downfield for Miami. Well, Rip Shear, you know, he has to feel pretty good about things. Rip did an outstanding job at James Madison University and now hopes that Anderson and company having a better feeling about his system now. And so far, so good in this one. And as we mentioned, Anthony, you could really sense it at practice Thursday. They're really on the same page now.
They really are. And you talk about better sense of the system. They have bought into the Shear system, and that makes a big difference.
Cobb gets to carry. Keith Cobb, the junior from Cleveland, Tennessee, and he runs into Michael Lawson, a 6'1", 273-pound sophomore from Delray Beach, Florida.
Don, you mentioned his weight, 273. He's actually gone up 30 pounds in weight to make himself bigger.
And this is the biggest offensive line in Tiger history, averages 287 pounds. Second down and 8. As we wind down the initial quarter, Cobb had some daylight, picks up some good yardage, and then takes a nasty knock from the Hurricane defense.
Well, one of the things both these offenses have found that you're going to have more success running some counter plays, running not straight at them, but letting them read one way, letting that speed pursue one way, and then cutting it back, and that's what Memphis just did.
We talked about the offensive line, and indeed it is a big one. And look at that. You're even under that weight now, aren't you, big guy?
I'm under that, but you mentioned a guy at center, Ken Newton, and he has that weight up there because he weighs in at about 307 pounds.
The nifty Anderson gets away from a couple of canes and dives forward and is going to be very close to the first down marker.
And that was number 51, Roderick Mack, chasing him, trying to make the tackle before he got the first down, but was not successful. You have to be impressed with this Memphis play calling. They're setting plays up, they're running plays, and then they're running plays off the plays they've already run. Right there, they ran a little play action off the counter. And Miami not doing a good job so far containing Anderson on the run. You see right there, Josh Miller leading on the trap, but Anderson makes the fake. He rolls out. He sees there's some opening. There you see Roderick Mack trying to make the tackle, not before he makes the first down.
Well, you wouldn't know it, but Rip Shearer has to feel pretty good right now. We have a scoreless game as we're ready to start the second quarter. We mentioned the job that Rip did at James Madison University. 29-19-0, 3 winning seasons, took them to the NCAA playoffs, and Butch Davis at the other end came from the Dallas Cowboys back home, was an assistant under Jimmy Johnson. And you know, I know you know Butch from the NFL, and they really feel good about him down in Coral Gables. Anderson in trouble, throws anyway. We have contact, but not a catchable pass.
Don, an amazing athletic move on a blitz that we rarely see from either defense, let alone the Miami defense. Number 45, Juan Russell shoots through there, but right here you see the coverage by the Hurricane defense. Might have been on his back a little bit, Tremaine Mack on the coverage, and that's what you heard the fan reaction. They wanted a penalty flag, but the officials did not see it as interference.
Robbie Locklear out of the H-back position that time, the intended receiver. So on 2nd and 10, this time it is a completion. And not much there for the Tigers. Good pursuit that time by Tony Coley. First quarter notes, you see the total yardage, not much to write home about on either side. Ryan Clement, good percentage, not a lot of yards, and that fumble for Miami. However, it's not if you commit the turnovers, it's what the other team does with it, and Memphis had to go by the board as they missed a short field goal.
And they had a chance to really build some momentum, not that they don't have any now, but if they would have come away with some points, that might have added to their momentum early in the first quarter.
A single back set this time, and that single back is Cobb. He breaks one tackle and squirts forward. Not enough for the Tiger first down. So Rip Shear, Sparky Woods and company trying to cross him up on a delay on 3rd and about 5, and it's going to be a punting situation for the Tigers.
Can't talk enough about this Memphis offensive line, and as they go into this season, we talked about the size of them, but they also feel the greatest improvement was made there with Gomez and Mum and Newton, Miller, and Sells along that line.
Paramore with the punt, a short one and low one. Benton let it go right by him, and that was not a very alert play by the sophomore Benton because it cost his club about 15 yards, a 42-yard punt, but about the last 12 or 13 came via the bounce.
It appeared he could have scooped it up on the run, but he didn't want a chance losing control. And he had plenty of room if he did make that catch to gain another 15 instead of losing 15. So that might have been a difference of about 30, 35 yards by letting that ball bounce.
For special teams will be a key in every football game, but especially the beginning of the season. And you know, both clubs, we had a chance to see and talk to the coaches about how much they concentrated on that. Motion by Daphnis this time from the tight end slot. Clement the throw, and it's a completion for the Hurricanes, and a first down it is. A nice catch by number 80, Jermaine Chambers, the senior from Homestead, Florida. He had 4 catches a year ago.
And that had to be an excellent throw by Ryan Clement, because number 24, Marcus Gray, you can't see right there, you see Marcus Gray swiping at the ball, but a nice throw and a nice catch by Chambers.
A 17-yard pickup and a first down for the Canes in a scoreless first half with 13 minutes plus in the first half remaining. There's McMillan with a huge hole, and he makes the most of it and gets another Hurricane first down as he's down close to the Tiger 41. Defensively that time, the Tigers really had to respond. Anthony Reddick was the guy that made the stop.
Well, he had to respond because his Hurricane offense, right after they complete a nice pass and they come back with a nice little draw. You see right there Clement going back to pass. Offensive linemen maintain contact. When the defense goes to make the tackle, you push them. That's what they did. Use their momentum, opened up a nice crease.
And a gain of 12. This time McMillan gets the carry again. Does not enjoy the same success because Marcus Geary, the senior linebacker, a junior college transfer that played in every game a year ago, was there to make the stop.
Don, as I was explaining what the offensive linemen were doing, a lot of times people get the misconception that you need offensive linemen to just come off the football and push the defensive linemen back. A lot of times you can use their momentum like that. Draw right there is a prime example. Let the defender make his move, use his momentum, give him a shove, let the running back make a cut as he did.
We'll be watching the offensive lines on both sides. Clement gets out of one potential sack, but he can't escape the second. The first guy to get there was Bowling. He didn't make the stop. A loss of 6 yards, but he had a lot of help. And Clement went down. Tim Hart got the sack.
That's right. Bowling was there. They tried to the naked bootleg out, but that defense on the other side, Miami not doing a good job of containing. This Memphis job doing a good job. Right there, you see Clement faking to his left, but Bowling right there saying, not this way, buddy. And then all of a sudden, his defensive buddy's there, Tim Hart, to get the sack.
3rd and 15. Clement to throw, and does. Is it a catch? Yes, it is, but the spot comes up a little bit shy of the first down marker. Nice catch by number 80, Jermaine Chambers.
It was an excellent catch, Don, because that was not a very good throw at all. That was low, and it was kind of short. But he had gone past the stick, but because of the throw, he had to come back. So really, you know, Ryan Clement's got to make that, he has to make that throw to Chambers when he's past the stick, not allow him to come back behind it. And they're going for it on 4th down.
They got 14 of the 15 yards on 4th and 1. The Canes to McMillan. He's pushed back, but it all depends on the mark of the football, and I believe the mark is going to be enough for the first down. The crowd reacted. Richard Hogan's there on the stop, but I believe it's going to be a Miami first down. I don't think there's any question.
That's right, but does it surprise you who was there to make that initial hit?
No.
This Hogan's is all over the football field.
And not a popular mark indeed from the home folks here in Memphis, but yet, unless we really missed it, it's going to be a Miami first down. It is by the length of the football.
We're going to take a look at this surge that the Miami offensive line needs. Just coming right off the football, man on man, letting McMillan go over the top.
Didn't make it by much, but the forward progress was certainly there.
It sure was.
So the drive stays alive for the Canes in a scoreless first half with the clock running at 10:41. Motion by the tight end, Daphnis to the near side, and he makes the catch after that motion, and he's wrestled down at the 26-yard line of the Memphis Tigers. Kevin Cobb was there along with Marcus Gary.
What's happened a lot with this Miami passing game. They know that Memphis is coming with the 4-man rush. So what they're doing is those backers drop. They're just sending the flares out, making those outside backers cover those guys. And they're getting the passes completed. Not big yardage, but you're looking at 2nd and 5. Enough to be in a good situation. Look at him just sitting down right there between the zones. But he does hit the short pass.
Now it goes to McMillan out of the backfield, and on a 2nd down and 4, McMillan picks up a couple of tough yards. You know, this Miami team you're going to see this year, talking to Butch Davis and Larry Coker, unlike the Jim Kellys and Vinny Testaverdes and Gino Torrettas, etc., Ryan Clement really running an offense where they want more balance for Butch Davis with the run via the pass.
That's right. They're looking at, to really increase the running game. Therefore, 60% of the time they want 2 backs in there. And when you have that, you're usually going to use those guys to pass the ball. And they really want to emphasize the running game.
And if this offense looks familiar, it should, because it's similar to what you see from the Dallas Cowboys. Clement, the pump fake, and the throw, and right on the money it goes to Benton, and Magic is knocked out of bounds at the 13-yard line.
And we talked about the Hurricanes emphasizing the running game. But when you have pass protection like they just did, you have a chance to complete the pass to Benton, as Clement did. Clement had plenty of time, and right there, Benton just takes Kevin Cobb, pushes a little bit, and turns it back. Enough separation to get the ball in there, and that's what happens when you're playing a little bit of a zone back there.
Gain of 12. This time McMillan on the delay. Is wrapped up initially by Spahn, and then he was able to spin forward inside the 10, close to the 8-yard line, maybe even the 7. So the Hurricanes, obviously with the deepest penetration in this one, and fighting to try to get on the board in a scoreless first half with 8 minutes and 49 seconds remaining. Anthony Riddick, Jr. from Elizabethton, Tennessee, and Mike McKenzie, actually a native of Miami, on the Memphis D that time. McMillan is hit, still fighting forward, but it's going to be just a couple of really tough yards as he came to the near side.
That was Keith Spann, the free safety that came up. He only had 104 tackles last year. Not bad. The guy comes up and hit people.
I guess if you've been in a hole the last couple of days, you don't know, but Danielle Ferguson, the 1,000-yard rusher from a year ago, and Yatil Green now takes the note total to 9 of players unavailable. As you look at Keith Spann, they have been suspended for a game, limousine incident. But the Canes on the move. Clement, pump fake, throws through the hands and out of the hands of Jermaine Chambers. And it looked like Marcus Gary might have gotten a little piece of it there, number 24.
Don, you're correct on that. We mentioned earlier in this drive, he almost knocked one down. And right here, you'll see number 24, Gray, as he just popped out of your picture. All of a sudden, they tried a quick slant. Right there, just off the hands. Mike McKenzie on the coverage.
And the Hurricanes will try a short field goal at 23 yards. Andy Crossland, the punter and the place kicker. And this time, Miami puts it on the board. So Miami takes advantage of a scoring opportunity. 3-0 the Canes over the Memphis Tigers. But it's a good one here in the Liberty Bowl. Miami with the advantage, 3-0 over the Memphis Tigers. Andy Crossland at his first career field goal, the redshirt freshman. So Miami makes after Memphis had missed an opportunity earlier. Glad to have you along. It's our Conference USA Game of the Week. Don Russell, Anthony Munoz, and Brian Allen, and the rest of our Conference USA production crew here. And glad to have you along on a beautiful afternoon. A hot one it is here in Memphis. but not unusual for this time of year, my friend.
No, it isn't, and got a little bit of a lather worked up here in the booth. You mentioned the heat. Right now, Miami is gone out. They've had the ball for over 13 minutes, and maybe look for that to start to take a toll on that Memphis defense that is aggressive and swarming all over the place.
They're Gayton in with the tee off and the kickoff that goes into the end zone, and the Miami scoring drive covered 70 yards in 13 plays, 5.56 the time, capped by the freshman's 23-yard field goal.
And here's a great time for this Memphis offense, knowing that their defense has been on the field for a while, to sustain a drive, mix it up, get some momentum going offensively against this Hurricane defense that they should feel pretty good about being able to move the ball.
Padre Anderson, completely healthy, gives to Cobb, and Cobb is swarmed after a gain of maybe 1 or 2 yards. An awful lot of Hurricane white shirts there. And Butch Davis and the coaching staff surprising the team with the all-white unis today.
Yep, they sure did. Yesterday, they're like, keep it hush-hush. Not since the Lou Saban era, huh?
Yeah, tell the press to keep it quiet.
Yeah, that's right.
Please. But we did. That's our part. A short gain for the Tigers, only one out of the eye. This time Cobb again, and Memphis recovers quickly. But look at the second effort by Cobb, and a flag on the play most likely could be a face mask.
Keith Cobb showing once again that he can't elude that first tackler. Freshman Roderick Mack, number 51, tried to make a tackle, but he couldn't make it. You see right here, a little counter action. Cobb taking up the middle, and he sees a nice wall right there. So he takes it out to the outside. Right there, he eludes Mack, the freshman inside backer.
Defense, 15 yards from the end of the run. First down.
That was Marcus Wimberly, number 24, the free safety.
And it was a face mask, as we anticipated, Anthony, and that is tacked on, of course, at the end of the run. And add to that now, you'll bring the ball all the way out to the 42-yard line of Memphis, with Miami leading 3-0 as we're under the 7-minute mark in the first half. Anderson out of the pocket, throws complete to Floyd, and Floyd is knocked down immediately, but that is the first catch of his collegiate career. And he's a young man. You talk about injury, stress fracture, calf surgery, missed most of the 95 season. And, you know, he's happy to be playing, much less catch a pass.
No question about it. You know, you want to get out there and play, and that's why you're out there, and hopefully, getting over the injuries right there. Makes a nice move. He made it appear like he was going to burst, and all of a sudden he cuts it back. Ball's right there. Number 23, Dwayne Starks, trying to cover him.
That was an 8-yard pickup. This time they try a little misdirection. And it didn't fool the Hurricanes at all. Danny Fortney was there. Pressure from Russell. Well, I talk about a Miami defense that over the years you didn't want to see, and this is typical of what they can do.
Right there, Dwan Russell coming on it, misses it. Another counter trap. They're trying to get that over pursuit, take it the other way. But right there, that Hurricane defense said, the heck with that counter trap. We're going to make contact before he can counter the other way.
You know, Miami's defense was 35th in the nation last year, but that is not what they want. First time in 11 years, they haven't been in the top 20 defensively. This time, the coverage from Dwayne Starks, and the Memphis faithful thought that he might have came a little bit early, as Jaron Burns was the intended receiver. Put on your striped shirt, get your whistle. You're going to make the call with us.
Right here, we'll take a look at it. Let's make the call. You see him, he sits down, ball's thrown, he's on his back, then knocks it down. I think there should have been a flag there. I mean, he was definitely making contact before the football got there.
And you know what coaches are yelling? Give him a saddle from the sideline.
Charge him for the ride.
4th and 5 in a punting situation for Paramore, and it is a dandy. Fair catch called for and taken by Benton as he fields it inside the 10, and the Canes will start to work at their own 9-yard line. 45 yards on the punt. A tough defensive struggle here in Memphis. Miami up 3-0.
The Thompson Hill Chair in Accounting.
Press Chair in Management Information Systems.
And Maury Moss Chair in Urban
Harris
Education.
Einstone Chair in Molecular
Robert
Biology.
Wang Chair.
Only one Tennessee university offers 22 chairs of excellence, the University of Memphis. Expecting a great college education? We have a seat waiting for you. For information, call 1-800-669-2678. The University of Memphis. Great expectations.
When I punch the clock, I'm a working machine. I got boots that do the job, got my Wolverines. Lay a span of bridge, make that molten steel pour. I can build a better country and keep coming back for more. I can work like hell with my hands and my tools, 'cause I feel like heaven in my Wolverine boots. Wolverine Durashocks, guaranteed comfort or your money back. Work like hell, feel like heaven. Wolverine Durashocks, made in the USA.
Arm yourself with a new kind of deodorant protection. Arm & Hammer deodorant, the only one that absorbs and then eliminates odor with baking soda. This man used Arm & Hammer under his left arm and deodorant without baking soda under his right. After a full day's work, odor detectors showed Arm & Hammer eliminated odor, while the side without baking soda simply covered it up. That's why we're confident it's a better kind of protection. So arm yourself with new Arm & Hammer deodorant, a better kind of deodorant protection.
Our Conference USA Game of the Week, we have a new signal caller for the Canes, Scott Covington, who split some time early in the season with Ryan Clement a year ago. Out of Laguna Niguel, California, the sophomore, 6'2". And again, the average field position for Miami in this game to start the drive has been the 19-yard line. And also a new running back, James Jackson, a true freshman. And Jesse Allen and company able to string out that defense and make the stop on the 5'11", 270-pound freshman out of Belgrade, Florida.
New quarterback, new running back. You'll see right here, same treatment from this Memphis defense. Right there you see Bowling and Hogan's and the whole crew. They don't care who's in there running the football. They're going to get after them. Super job by the defensive ends of stringing that out. No corner to get around and take it upfield.
A loss of one on the play. Covington from near his own end zone, almost intercepted, and then it's caught. What a catch. Sutton got a piece of it. But boy, that was a circus catch. No, now it's ruled incomplete. Initially, Tremaine Mack, who he mentions on defense, that you could see on offense, the fastest player on the team, but Mack tried to work his way into the catch, but it's incomplete.
Right here you see Sutton, great coverage, nice position. He's waiting for the ball to come down. He goes up, he has the ball, but then Mack, being a defensive player, knocks it down.
Yeah, there's no.
He saved an interception, or an interception right there by turning from wide receiver to defensive back and knocking it down.
And he plays on defense anyway. He ought to be able to do that.
That's right. Exactly.
Third and 11 for the Canes. And a 3-0 Miami advantage here in the first half. Covington across the middle, too tall, intended for Magic Benton. And boy, what a spot for Covington to come into. And you can bet the Memphis fans, as you can see it on your screen, they're excited.
And we talked about defensive coordinator Jim Fletcher saying blitzes are to change the tempo. And right there, he brought the backers, forcing Covington to throw the ball quickly and high.
Crossland with the punt, not a very long one, gets a fortunate bounce, picked up and then dropped. This is a loose football, and the Canes have it and have a scoring opportunity. Nate Brooks, number 2, picks it up. And then another fumble, and now Memphis will have it. Who wants it? Who takes it?
I know it's hot down there, but that football can't be that hot.
Boy, you talk about a near comedy of errors. Let's see. We haven't had the official indication as of yet. Now we do. It's going to be Memphis's football. Boy.
And wow.
Hot potato.
Very hot. Almost turned out to be a tragedy right there with the fumble.
A 3-0 lead for the Hurricanes. We're 3 minutes plus left in the first half. Miami 3-0, the advantage against Memphis. You know, that oblong ball takes funny bounces, Anthony.
It sure does. First of all, Chauncey Carr gets it, said, well, I've had it long enough. I'm going to get a little tired here. Then Nathan Brooks says, let me give it a shot. Pull out the fork, stick it in the ball. He's got control of it. He starts to run. All of a sudden, with that humidity down there, he says, man, that ball's awfully heavy. And it's actually, I believe, Nate Brooks who comes back, or I'm sorry, Chauncey Carr comes back and strips the football. He says, you can't do that to me. We need it back.
So Butch Davis thought he was going to get another scoring opportunity, but it ends up back in the hands of the Tigers, and Cobb, the tailback, trying to work off the left guard, maybe a yard, possibly two, not much there, because Roderick Mack, an outstanding freshman who has really stepped up. When you talk about losing Ray Lewis to the NFL, he went early, and you got James Burgess and Jeffrey Taylor, linebackers, suspended. Boy, you talk about a redshirt freshman who's taken advantage of it. Rod Mack is one of them.
Coach says all he wants to do is play, and he's proven that right now, today, now.
Anderson has plenty of time to throw. Wide open is Floyd. Boy, that time the Canes are going to have a couple of them looking at each other because Floyd was in the seam, and it's a 21-yard pickup. Earl Little was there, but a little too late.
A little too late, and Richie Floyd makes the catch. Guys are going to be asking Earl Little what's going on here. He just lets him go by, but the problem is he lets him go by and there's no help behind it.
You see the excitement in the eyes and arms of Richie Floyd. As we mentioned, all those injuries, he's happy to be out there. Here's Cobb on a delay, and Cobb has some running room and is going to fight his way close to another Tiger first down. Wimberly and Little, safety and cornerback, finally make the Canes stop.
Don, what created a big opening on that side is Twan Russell came on the blitz around the end. He came too far. The ball carrier just takes it right up there. You have no linebacker for reinforcement behind that defensive line.
You know, Rip Shear would like nothing better than to get a scoring opportunity before the intermission. That's 2 minutes and 45 seconds away. Penalty markers all over the field from the get-go. So we'll have to check out the flags. A couple of rule changes this year. It'd be interesting if procedure against Memphis. If the hat comes off, the play is dead. You know, if your helmet comes loose, they're going to blow the ball dead.
Ball start. Offense. 5 yards. Replay it down. Second down.
And also interesting, they're going to protect the center on a scrimmage kick. Not the kicker, mind you, the center. I guess it's about time. That's both are safety factors, and of course, there will not be any tie games in Division I football this year because of the overtime playoff.
I think a lot of people are happy not only about those first two, the safety issues, but no ties. I mean, a lot of times, you know, people are second guessing should the coach have gone for 2 or 1 to tie it up. Now they get a chance to see a game played out.
They're going to set up a screen and do to Scruggs, and he's going to be close to the first down. Depends on the mark. Quan Russell really recovered quickly because it appeared that Memphis had sucked the Canes in perfectly, and Butch Davis, I think, probably feels pretty good. That looked like it had a potential for a real big play.
Coach Davis should feel real good about the reaction by Russell. Right here, you see the defensive linemen just coming full go. A lot of blue shirts out there in front, but one number 45 with his excellent speed, and that's one of the things that's emphasized on this Hurricane defense is speed, 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 and right there they save a big play.
A full house backfield on 3rd and less than 1, and it goes to Cobb, and boy, I don't know. Michael Lawson, the left tackle for the Canes, led the charge. And it appears from where they're spotting that ball that it's going to be short, and it is.
Right there you see the encouragement by head coach Davis, and he knows it's short because a great penetration by Lawson, as you mentioned, Don. Right there, no running room at all. The offensive line has to give that running back the line of scrimmage, but right there the defensive linemen were in the backfield.
Timeout taken here in the Liberty Bowl. If you joined us late, Memphis had a scoring opportunity, went wide right on a 26-yard field goal in the first quarter. Miami got on the board as Andy Crossland, a redshirt freshman, booted his first field goal as a collegiate. And And as a result, we have a 3-0 ball game, but it has been the defenses and the kicking game, special teams, that have been the factors, Anthony, in this first half.
It really has. You know, the field position, the starting field position that the Hurricanes have had. You know, you got some young kickers on that Hurricane football team that really coming into this game didn't have any game experience. And of course, we knew that these defenses would be ready to play today.
Now Butch Davis looking on. Of course, tonight we have more action as we continue our initial weekend of college football from Conference USA this afternoon. How about to that new Big 12? Unbelievable. The Tigers of Missouri will be taking on number 8 Texas. That's live tonight at 8 p.m. And then we'll move to Cincinnati next week as the Bearcats take on the Kentucky Wildcats. And if you don't know, the SEC Wildcats just up the interstate from your hometown, Cincinnati. We'll look forward to that. Bearcats trying to bounce back after that Tulane upset in the opening game of Conference USA.
Upset and a spanking at Nippert Stadium there on the campus in Clifton. Better believe Rick Minter and those coaches are going to be working those players this week, getting them ready for the Wildcats.
Just a matter of time till the Macarena strikes up here in the Liberty Bowl.
I was impressed. You were getting into it.
Well, I mean, I've seen it so much that everybody should know how to do it by now.
You had it down. You're gonna have
even Commissioner Mike Slive, our halftime guest, he's got it down. He really did. The shaking the hips is the best part of his act, I'm telling you. 3-0, 4th and 1 for the Tigers. Count, no doubt. Anderson trying to draw him offside. That might be all we'll see from the Tigers, as now they're going to take the delay. Little cat and mouse, but Miami not taking the bite.
That's true, and this would have been an excellent opportunity for this Memphis offense to run this clock out if they could have made a first down to keep that defense off the field. Now after they bring on their special teams players to punt it away, the Hurricanes will have a minute and a half here before halftime, so therefore these defensive players got to get back on the field. It would have been nice to give them a rest along with the halftime rest.
And now Paramore checks in, number 15, and Magic Benton, who's pretty dangerous back there, has not really fielded one in this one today against Memphis, but he has tremendous speed and now starts to move up a little bit to around the 20-yard line to take the Paramore punt. Low snap, a low kick. Benton should have a chance to return it, and he does. He breaks a couple of tackles. This guy can really get it done, but he's finally knocked down by the Tigers. Kerry Cobb, who's a tight end, but also participates in special teams, knocks down Magic Benton. 38-yard punt and a 10-yard return. So the Canes will have 1:26 on the Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium clock here in the first half, and a Miami 3-0 advantage.
Now with the Memphis scheme, they can easily just go right into a 3-man rush as they have right here. They bring in extra backers. They're showing a blitz. All 4 backers up close.
Ryan Clement back at quarterback. Covington had one short series. McMillan also back in for the Canes and makes the catch and gets out of bounds to stop the clock, and also picks up a Miami first down. So Miami has really struggled for points, and so they're going to try to move it downfield. A 14-yard pickup.
Struggle for points, and they got a break here by having the clock stopped. He was not out of bounds when he hit the ground.
Well, you're going to get to see it. Well, I don't think he was. Magic Benton makes the reception from Ryan Clement and does pick up a Miami first down again. So the Canes with 1:04 trying to move it down at least in field goal range. And the Canes going without a huddle. Clement now wants to take the timeout as the Hurricanes take their first stoppage of the game with 58 seconds remaining. You see the numbers for Ryan Clement in this one. He's a pre-med student. His leadership qualities, Butch Davis is very happy about. And Butch said the difference in Ryan Clement last year in games 4 through 11 was his decision making.
Well, he wasn't pressing, and when you have a quarterback that tries to make the plays or make plays that, maybe he has the ability to make, but he's forcing things, he's not using the guys around him, and all of a sudden you get a quarterback that matures. If he sees a guy that he thinks he might be able to squeeze the ball in, but he says, no, this guy is open over here, so I'm going to throw it to him. And that's what Coach Davis is talking about. He's gotten a lot smarter in those decisions, right in the heat of a battle. A lot of times a quarterback will, think more of his ability than he really can do, and that makes all the difference in the world for a quarterback when he does mature and he's able to do that.
And Coach Butch Davis last year, of course, Ryan Collins was the first starter. He had some injuries. Then Clement got in the mix, as did Covington. So really, it was a lot of helter-skelterness in that particular position. And finally, Clement was given the football, and that's when things really started going in a positive direction for the Hurricanes.
And the confidence the coach have in him, that increases. They allow him to do more things in their offensive package.
One lone setback. Clement going to throw, does to Benton, makes the catch, breaks one tackle, but not the second. Jeremy Stewart was there to make sure. We'll see if the Canes go with the hurry-up offense, and indeed they do. Gain of 6 on the play, and now Clement will just spike the ball to stop the clock. Over the past of Miami and the great quarterbacks they've had. Butch Davis, though, he's come into Miami as Rip Shear has done. Both of these programs feel very good about the direction they're taking with their field bosses, no question about it.
Well, we talked about it earlier, and they have the players that have really bought into their programs. They realize that these guys are serious. If they need to sit down a guy because of something that's happened, they're not going to hesitate to do that, and the players are quite aware of that.
Clement under some pressure, and now he goes down. Miami, if they want, most likely will need to take a timeout. Marvin Thomas. We mentioned the first family member to graduate. He's from Bay Minette, Alabama, and he is all over it. Second sack in the game. Thomas.
And they're very high on Marvin Thomas, that being the NFL scout. He gets that shoulder turn of the left tackle, Curlin Blaze, and once you get that tackle turned and get him parallel to the sidelines, pretty much a victory for the defensive lineman, and Marvin Thomas does that to Blaze, therefore getting the sack.
You mentioned the fact he is so delighted to be a college graduate. He's working on his master's degree. We talked to him yesterday. Tell you what, he looks mean as a snake right there, but he's a real soft-spoken young man, and somewhat shy about talking about his accomplishments.
He really is, and you start talking to coaches about their leaders on defense, their leaders on offense, and the first thing defensive coordinator Jim Pletcher says, Marvin Thomas is a quiet guy. He doesn't say a whole lot, but he leads by example. He's a hard worker. The younger guys, the other guys on the defense are going to look at him for leadership, not because he's talking all the time, because he's making plays like he just did on that last one.
And you talk about the fact he's already graduated and working on his master's degree, and that's when he really got the gleam in his eye. He's very proud of that, as is his family, his grandparents, his parents, and brothers and sisters. Fourth down. 28 seconds to go. Loose football, and the Tigers recover it. Ryan Clement never really had the handle, and Marcus Geary, the senior, is able to recover it. So just before the intermission, with 23 ticks left on the clock, a Miami turnover, their second of the game.
As we take a look right here, not bad protection. You see Gary coming off the corner, but there never was possession by Clement, and he's right there to recover the football. And like this defense has been this first half, a lot of emotion out there on the football field.
Well, Memphis has only one timeout remaining, I believe. So they can stop it once. If they could get some yardage here, possibly could be a field goal. They're looking downfield for the freshman intended it was for Damian Dotson, but it's picked off by the Hurricanes. Good defense by Miami. It was Dwayne Starks, number 23, with the pick. And they're stride for stride down the sideline, Anthony.
See it right here. And Damian Dotson going up high. But the defender, I mean, he can't have much better position than that. He's right there between the receiver and the football, and he elevates himself, gets his hands on the football, and comes down with it.
So we've had 5 turnovers in the ball game. Too many, obviously. What'd you do here, Anthony? Do you sit down on it, or you got 16 seconds remaining? You wing it up, hope for a completion or penalty? What you thought?
Well, being around coaches for as long as I have, you sit down on it, as they just do right there, especially what happened the last time they snapped the football.
Well, they're going to let it run down as we have come to the end of the first half.
Pride today. I mean, those guys really, truly one of the better defenses in the country. They took an awful lot of grief last year, starting off slow. They wanted to come out and make a statement today. The changes you made with the quarterbacks, was that for continuity's sake? No, I tell you what, it's because Scott Covington deserves to play. I mean, he's a kid that's talented. We need to have 2 quarterbacks ready to win 12 games this year, and he deserves to go in the ball game, and it doesn't affect our continuity at all. All right, and what kind of changes are you going to try to make at halftime to make the offense a little more progressive? We've got to quit taking negative plays on offense. We've had way too many. We've had a couple of sacks. We've had some negative plays. It's put us off rhythm and everything, and we got to get back to the things we do best, and that's run the football. Back to you guys.
Okay, Brian. Now we're going to check in at Los Angeles. We have a good one going on here in Miami, but let's go to the College Football Today scoreboard in our stadium show with Randy Sparagi. Discovery Channel. Explore your world. And by Head & Shoulders, because great hair can't have flakes. Liberty Bowl in Memphis, 3-0 Miami advantage and a defensive struggle in the first half. Of course, the Olympics just recently completed in Atlanta, the gold medal, and the great Penny Hardaway that played here at the University of Memphis. Of course, everybody knows about him, but there was another Olympian, Rochelle Stevens, a trackster, won silver in Barcelona, got a gold medal this year for the 4x400 meter relay team, and she was honored before or during halftime of this one, and you know she has to feel good about coming back home for that. Not a whole lot of highlights from the first half, but we certainly didn't lack for action. Remember this one, Anthony?
I remember it. That ball was not finding a place, a home on this place. The guys didn't want to keep it too long. Right here you see it. Well, the second guy with the ball, and all of a sudden it's back on the ground. And all of a sudden Memphis covers it, and they say, we want the football.
Impressive Miami defense. Miami was on the move trying to get something. Excuse me, the Tiger defense here. You see them, and a bad exchange, and that stopped what looked like might have been a scoring opportunity for Miami at the end of the half. A lot of excitement. And statistically, in the first 30 minutes of this one, not only do we have outstanding defense from both these teams, there are the numbers.
Right here.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Don, but right here you see for the first game, coaches talk about not making mistakes, and 3 for Miami and 2 for Memphis. Really not impressive stats for a first half, and that's obvious that the defense is playing excellently.
See, not a lot of yards for either team. 149 for the Canes, 93 for the Tigers. Pretty much even in time of possession as well. Not a whole lot of difference.
Don, we have to look at that rushing yardage too. Interesting. I'm sure you saw the same one when they rushed for 150 yards. It's basically an automatic win for the Hurricanes, but this Memphis defense saying you're not going to get 150 yards, and hopefully you won't leave Memphis with the win.
Now Rip Shearer making his way back out with the Tigers. You saw Butch Davis a little bit earlier. You know, Rip has to feel pretty good things about things right now. Look at the possessions in the first half. First for the Hurricanes there.
Well, you see fumble, punt, punt. First read, defense, defense. by Memphis. Then they give up a field goal. And how about this? 4 downs, a -1 yard punt, and a fumble. Of course, right at the end of the half, that possession, 1 play.
And the Memphis possessions, and that was an opportunity right off the bat. They missed a 26-yard field goal. The freshman did. We'd have a tie game right now.
There's no question about it. And, you know, the Memphis defense has been playing great, but you have to give the, special teams some credit, too, because Miami's been starting average start for their offenses on their own 19-yard line.
The freshman, Damian Dotson, awaiting the Miami kickoff, and this guy could fly at a 97-yarder in his first scrimmage as a collegian, and he's looking to get outside, but takes it across the 20 to the 22-yard line. James Sutton on the Hurricane coverage. So now the coaches have time to talk to their team as they did during the intermission and make the adjustments, and now we're going to see the Tigers go on the O. You know, when you talked about Damian Dotson, you look at him there. He had almost 4,500 yards as a receiver, and that's the most ever by any high school player. That's a bunch.
That is a whole bunch, and to add to that, 58 touchdowns.
That's a whole lot of them. Keith Cobb, the tailback, who's had more often than not the football as they start the possession. Cobb now has ran 8 of the 11 first down plays every time Miami's had the football. Kenny Holmes, the right end, an All-American candidate there, wrapped him up. Well, many people thought that this would be one that Miami might just walk away with. Anderson's put it in the air 9 times, connected on better than half of them. This time it goes to the first man through, Chris Reeves. He played in only 14 carries last year because he had a dislocation of the hip. He's a north and south runner. Rip Scherer in the offense for the Tigers, hoping to be much better than last year, but this guy Anderson will probably give them the stability that they need if he stays healthy here.
I agree with that, Don, and one of the things this Memphis offense has to do, and the majority of their first downs, they've been running the football, and they come out this second half and continue to do that. They're going to have to mix it up on first down. Throw the pass, maybe run an option instead of just a straight handoff.
Well, Miami confused, so they take a timeout, and Brian Allen's on the sideline. How about that gold medal? And you got the recipient and her coach, the mom. Brian.
Yeah, I'm here with Rochelle Stevenson and her mom, B. Davis. Welcome here. How do you guys feel about what happened out there in Atlanta? Are you really happy with your accomplishments?
We're very excited about the accomplishment. I mean, winning an Olympic gold medal in front of 86,000 people at home was more than a grand opportunity.
And Mom, you must have been proud. Mom's been her coach all her career. You must have been proud of what Rochelle was able to accomplish.
You're absolutely right. I am really proud of Rochelle. I don't even have words to express my gratitude.
Well, are you guys going to be able to catch a lot of these Memphis games?
Most definitely. We're Memphis fans, born and raised here, and we got to support the Tigers because they are #1.
Okay, Rochelle, tell me your plans for the 2000 Olympics in Australia.
Hey, I'm just going to enjoy this gold medal right now because I'm still on cloud 29 somewhere. But I am interested in training for the 2000 Olympics, but right now I'm just going to enjoy the gold.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time. Good luck to you.
Thanks, Brian, and congratulations to Rochelle and her mom, and quite a thrill and quite an honor here in the Liberty Bowl, the halftime ceremonies. But we're playing some good football here. Cobb gets the little toss pass out of the backfield. He's knocked down by Quan Russell, the weak side linebacker. And the pressure came from Kenny Holmes, the right end. But Anderson, as we mentioned, the fact that he's 100%, actually a junior college player and didn't come in early like a lot of them do. So it was quite a learning process last year. And then they lose him in the first series against Mississippi State in the season opener a year ago. Bad snap, and the Canes recover it. Look like they're going to mark it down on the 1-yard line.
God, I believe it was number 53, Booker Pickett, who blocked it. We'll take a look at it right here. He just shot right through. You see him right here, just coming right through the middle and basically taking it right off the punter's foot. Look at this. He's right there. He avoids being kicked himself by taking the football. Special special teams creates a big opportunity for this Miami offense as they start at the 1-yard line.
And I mean, that time as you was able to draw it up so well, right up the middle. Ryan Clement tries to sneak it in, and it looks like he was able to pick up maybe a half-yard, but that's all.
Oh, and now, sorry, Don, now you get to those. We pointed out the turnovers at halftime, the stats, and you hate to see this coming out, getting the football, your very first possession, and to have the special teams break down, get a pump block. That's just something you cannot afford to do, especially the way these defenses are playing.
Marcus Bowling came off the field limping and is injured. Of course, Miami blocked 12 kicks last year, so it's certainly something they're accustomed to doing. And I believe Clement going to keep it again. This time he does take it in for the touchdown. He followed his All-American candidate center, K.C. Jones. And Ryan Clement gets the first touchdown of the 1996 season for the Miami Hurricanes. And Rip Shear, you know, man, oh man, not the type of special teams breakdown that you want to begin the second half. The extra point on its way, and it's good. So the Miami Hurricanes, they dodged a bullet earlier, but now they take advantage of a turnover and go up 10-zip. The Canes and the Tigers, Rip Shear doesn't like what just happened. Go so fresh, once you pop, you can't stop. Welcome back to the Liberty Bowl. The Miami Hurricanes take advantage of a costly mistake, and you know, special teams, you work on it hours and hours, and just a mental breakdown on the part of Memphis, and the Canes, who have struggled offensively against the Tiger defense, get a little help from special teams of their own.
Well, you really have to emphasize those special teams. A lot of times guys want to play offense, they want to play defense, they want that playing time, and it's difficult to really set your mind and say, hey, this is a good way to get in a few plays during the football game, and right there they had a breakdown.
Here's Dotson, the true freshman, with that blazing speed, but boy, good coverage that time by the Hurricane. They really turned it up. Dennis Scott downtown on the good coverage that time, and that's the type of play that they got from their special teams to get the easy touchdown. 16-yard return that really spurred on the Miami Hurricanes. You look at the scoring drive, not much to that particular drive. We're pleased to have in the booth with us Commissioner Mike Slive of Conference USA that'll be visiting with us through the third quarter. Miami on the offense, and Anderson now is going to have to get it going. There's Floyd. And the Memphis fans want a flag, but there's not one on the Liberty Bowl Stadium turf.
Don, I have to agree with the fans on that one. It appeared that the Miami defender had his hands all over Richie Floyd. As we see right here, Eugene Ridgely on the coverage. Floyd has him to the inside, and the ball is perfectly thrown. Right there, you see the left hand, the right hand. He mugged him. I mean, he mugged him before the ball got there.
And Rip Shear, he is not a happy camper, and if you saw that replay, you can certainly understand his feeling. So it just goes in an incomplete pass, so the Tigers not getting the benefit of what should have been a penalty against the Hurricanes, and Anderson nowhere to go because Michael Lawson was there.
Something the Hurricane defense had not been doing in the first half, containing Anderson as he attempts to roll out. Right there, beautifully defensed, and nowhere for Anderson to roll.
So now it's going to be third down. Commissioner, we mentioned at the top of the telecast, your first handoff was a good one last night. Boy, you had to be excited, though. What a night, huh?
Don, it was a great night, you know, to have an inaugural game, to put the football in the Hall of Fame, and we all worked so hard to make this happen. It's a great weekend for us.
3rd and 10. Anderson, good protection, fires it wide to the right. It was intended for Chancey Carr, the split in, and we'll see the Memphis punting unit. And also, Commissioner, a big surprise. You know, Tulane, many felt would be at the bottom of the league, and they knock off the preseason favorite in Cincinnati.
Maybe they're going to have a topsy-turvy season down it, and this league is going to be a lot tighter, I think, than some of the people thought. Tulane really came out with a great game plan.
Of course, the Green Wave winning that game last night in the inaugural Conference USA game, 34-14. This time, good protection for Paramore. You got to watch this guy, Benton. He has some speed, and he has some blockers as he cuts it back to the inside, now again to the outside. And this guy is on his way for the Miami touchdown. Well, we mentioned the fact, Anthony, that he was explosive. A 50-yard punt. Actually might have punted it beyond the return coverage in a 67 touchdown pass.
Well done. Not a whole lot of hang time. It was a line drive, giving Benton a chance to grab the football and start upfield. And a nice initial move right there, making he made the first defender miss, and then all of a sudden right here you see the punter. Oh my, you don't like to see that.
Boy, Benton, the guy that we mentioned the fact he has explosive speed, and just like that, the Miami special teams beginning to take over in this game, and now they up the lead to 17-0. Back to the Liberty Bowl for Miami and Memphis, our Conference USA Game of the Week. But Curlin Blaze, a 6'5", 303-pound junior out of Orlando, comes up with what appears to be an injury to his right leg, possibly the knee. And he's over on the Miami sideline, and Miami has a lot of depth in that offensive line. It looks like they're going to have to put it to use. So the block punt results in the first Miami score, and then the punt return by Magic Benton, and his first name certainly very close to what he was able to perform on that punt return that we're going to see again in a moment. Here's a talented freshman, Dotson, and he's knocked down shy of the 20-yard line, and boy, what a return it is here by Magic Benton.
See the long punt. We'll see right here as we can just stop right there. Excellent move. Leaves this guy on the ground, and he's on his way. And that return was made by that initial move, given a chance for his blockers to get in front of him. All of a sudden, Paramore right here does not like what's going to happen to him right there. Needs to get back to that sideline, clear his head up a little bit, and hopefully have some rest before he's got to punt again, because he took quite a shot, and Benton takes it all the way for the score.
Brian, how about a report on Blaze, the offensive lineman?
Yeah, Curlin Blaze, guys, because of the heat, you're going to catch a cramp. Nothing major. He has a cramp in his quad muscle.
Well, that's probably good news for the Miami faithful, because he is one of those mainstays on the offensive line. Commissioner Mike Slive is in the booth with us, and Commissioner, you know, Rip Shear not feeling great about things now, but this is what Conference USA will present. An opportunity here for Memphis to host the perennial power in the Big East.
Yeah, that's right. And we'll be able to play a good conference schedule and then add some great intersectional rivalries. And our people will be able to schedule better now that they're in the league, Don, and without the pressures of having to schedule all of their games outside. It's going to make a difference when we see it.
Well, certainly the Memphis Tigers trying to get something going on offense. Kenny Holmes makes a stop on Andre Woods, who we see for the first time. A redshirt junior from here in Memphis. On the draw play, not much there, actually a loss of a yard. And Commissioner, I know after the success of basketball last year and many of the other Olympic sports, a lot of work goes into football, but I know things have really fallen into place.
They really have, Don. Obviously, we're really thrilled with our Fox Sports Television plan with you and Anthony on it with us for the season, and that's going to be a critical component of what we're doing. In addition, we're going to expand this league. We're not going to stay at 6. My guess is this is the only season you'll see us at 6, and we hope even within the next few weeks to be able to make an announcement about an expansion, and that's the second component that we need to do, and we're about to do it.
Well, that certainly looks forward to the future, and Anderson picks up some good yardage. Now we have another Miami Hurricane down, this time on the defensive side. It's Denny Fortney. And we heard a report from Brian Allen a moment ago. I imagine, Anthony, you've been through the ropes, you've been through the heat, you've been through the preseason, you've been in the trenches, and certainly cramps and things like that. Looks like that was the case with Fortney here.
Exactly. You're losing a lot of fluid, a lot more than you can replace on a day like this. I know every time I would come off the field on a day this hot, you just start pouring down the water, pouring down whatever drink you can get a hold of, but your body always has a tendency to release more fluids that you can take in. And I'm a prime example example because I had a lot of problems with cramping through camp and through the first month and a half of the season. And the key to this is really drinking a lot during the week and just drinking more than you really believe you have to drink.
Anderson back to throw. Penalty marker this time as Bernard Olden. The flag comes, but Olden made the catch. And somewhat of a tongue-in-cheek round of applause from the Liberty Bowl faithful that are here. Eugene Ridgely, Jr. out of Marrero, Louisiana, on the play.
We'll see it right here. And you mentioned the applause by the fans. Of course, Richie Floyd not getting the call earlier. See, first of all, here it is. He's got him. First of all, he's got him. He's holding him, and then the contact. So they finally get a flag.
10 yards from the previous spot. First down.
And that was the call. You know what they say at Churchill Downs in the paddock? Riders up. He was up that time, and it cost him the flag. Commissioner, of course, at the end of this season, as you look at the penalty yardage, 4 penalties now on each team. The winner of Conference USA or East Carolina will come back here and will play as the Conference USA champion in the Liberty Bowl. And I know that's crucial to have an affiliation with a bowl.
That's the third component, Don, when we were talking about building our football program to the point where it's as good as our basketball program. And we're just delighted to be able to have a tie with the Liberty Bowl. And hopefully we may well have East Carolina in our league, and then the issues about East Carolina and Conference USA champion will just disappear.
Well, Scruggs, the ball carrier that time. It was Holmes that wrapped him up and threw him back. Commissioner, a beautiful facility here. I think the crowd we have today, I think the fact that, and Rip Shear said, hey, we're at a conference now. This game is important, but it's not the end of the season by any stretch. They really have something to play for, and I know any coach wants to have that opportunity.
And the way we've structured it, Don, is that the conference champion will go to the bowl based on the conference record. So that playing these games are critical and helpful to the league, but they're not critical to our championship.
And that's an excellent point. Anderson, good play action, and he fires wide open. That's the freshman Dotson, and the biggest offensive play of the day comes from a quarterback, a senior, to a freshman that many feel will make a lot of noise in Conference USA for 4 years, 47 yards.
Again, Anderson going with the play action fake right there to Keith Cobb, and Damian Dotson gets wide open as he turns. He looks it off, turns to the right, and he gets behind the defender. Now it's just a matter of making something happen and get as much yardage as he can before he gets out of bounds. But again, that was set up by the play action fake by Anderson.
And an excellent throw, nice catch to the Parade High School All-American. Here's Cobb fighting for some tough yardage going forward. Nick Ward came up to make the Miami stop defensively.
Memphis doing a good job there. Twan Russell once again coming on a blitz. Cobb able to read it and take it outside. Blitz was picked up nicely there. And not a big gain, but anytime you can pick those blitzes up, sooner or later you're going to get one through there, and it's going to open up big, and you're going to run more than just a couple yards.
This time the option to Anderson. What a move by Anderson. And he's in for the touchdown.
Run to perfection. Anderson spins, coming out. If we can stop it right here, there's a key block. But here's the play as Anderson continues. He comes up, and Earl Little, if we can keep it going here, Earl Little is there. He's put in really a bad situation. He has to either take the pitch man or get the quarterback. A nice fake by Anderson and says, hey, he's taking the pitch man, so I'm keeping it. 6 points.
The extra point on the way. It's a line drive, and it's good. So the Memphis defense did the job earlier. Now the offense stepping up. The Canes and the Tigers. We have a game again. A 10-point Miami win. Well, Miami Miami's advantage is 10 now as Memphis is on the board 17-7 in this one. Our Power Bar Performer of the Week in Conference USA, and boy, what a performance it was. The commissioner was there last night, Gerald Soule, the Tulane running back. Our Power Bar Performer of the Week, and look at him. I mean, he is a load, and he and the Green Wave of Tulane surprising the Cincinnati Bearcats in the first ever Conference USA football game. 115 yards, 3 receptions for Gerald Soule. The Soul Train, they call him. That's our Powerball. Fuel for optimum performance.
Don, this is what you love to see your players that are not going to get the football doing. Right here, the wide receiver, Damian Dotson, makes a key block. Right here, spring on Tremaine Mack, springing Anderson for the touchdown. That's one of the things the coaches are always stressing for those wide receivers to block guys downfield. And to see your freshman do that, you have to be very happy about that.
You know, talking to Bill Miller last night, the defensive coordinator, of course, for Miami, what did he mention? He said, I think we're going to see a little option in there. And Anderson capped off that 81-yard, 7-play drive with an option play that was outstanding with the help of the freshman.
Exactly. Run perfectly. I mean, you can't draw it up any better. You take the ball, you get a nice block at the line of scrimmage, and then you get some blocks downfield. You have an opportunity to fake or pitch it or keep it with the guy, one guy in the middle of two. They just did it to perfection.
Well, Miami started to bring it out of there, but Trent Jones went over in front of number 3 from the Miami Hurricanes, Tremaine Mack, who thought about it, then thought better of it. Rip Shear, what a job he's doing here in Memphis. And Commissioner, we see the young freshman Dotson. We haven't talked much about Kenton Evans, probably the quarterback of the future. Parade high school All-Americans. That's the immediate impact of being in a conference, isn't it?
And that's what Rip will tell you, that they had tremendous recruiting success. They went after the blue chip football player in the city of Memphis that really hasn't been done before and said, we're going to stake our ground. They got the kids, and the conference made a difference for them.
Miami now goes on the offense under pressure. Intercepted. It's picked off by Marcus Gary. And just like that, the Tiger defense gives it back.
You see right here, this is what creates the interception. Gary gets the interception, but it's Marvin Thomas putting the pressure just as he's starting to release the football. And right there is Marcus Gary making the interception. Talk about momentum after a long drive. You got it right here.
So the Tigers right back in business. Cobb on the swing pass. Cobb inside the 10. Pickup on the swing pass to Cobb, and the Memphis defense once again gives it back, and now the offense showing its wear.
And as the offensive lineman Ron Sells, who got out there, didn't take one down, but 2 Miami defenders.
Reeves, the big fullback, fights his way to about the 6-yard line. Boy, just a few minutes ago when it was 17-0, you could drop a pin in the Liberty Bowl, but now, after the big pass play to the freshman, Dotson, the nice option by Anderson, the interception, and just like that, we're talking about a Miami Hurricane program that has won 4 national titles, played in 8 national championship games in the last 13 years. Unprecedented. Here's the option, and Anderson loses his footing this time. Roderick Mack was breathing down his neck and was going to make sure that the nifty quarterback from the Tigers was not going to go anywhere.
Here you are. You're the defense trying to make a play, but Anderson goes down. Mack there. You know, the one thing this tells me, Don, with this Memphis team is we saw that Miami, on 2 quick scores, had a chance to bury Memphis, but tells me that they have some confidence that they believe they can play with the team like Miami, and they're showing that right here.
Anderson throws it right across the middle, and it's intercepted by the freshman Roderick Mack. So the Tigers had a golden opportunity, but Anderson rifled that one. And number 51 in the white, the redshirt freshman out of Miami, was right there for his first collegiate interception. And now it's the Miami defense.
What you see, you saw the defensive lineman coming quickly, and Damian Dodson took it to the outside, but Anderson fired it right over the middle. The only guy there to catch the football was middle linebacker Roderick Mack.
So give the Miami D a big pat on the back as the Hurricanes stop a potential scoring drive from the Tigers. And McMillan, boy, you know what? He is only 5'8", but he weighs 217 pounds. And, you know, he actually has pretty good leverage, and he's a punishing runner for a short player.
That makes it really tough, especially when you get him running lower to the ground. I mean, he's already built low to the ground, and he runs with that, you know, forward lean. You really have to get down, and right there, Marcus Gary had to get really low and made a nice hit on him. But McMillan, he generates some power with those legs.
Miami 17, Memphis 7. And the final 5 minutes and change in the third quarter here in the Liberty Bowl. Motion by Daphnis. On a sweep to the near side, McMillan. And boy, great pursuit again by the Tiger defense. Santabez, he's from Miami, Florida, played at Columbus High School. You think he has a little incentive for this one?
A little? I'd say he has a lot. But, you know, one thing that has impressed me about this Memphis defense, you know, we talked about their strength earlier, but is their quickness. You know, their speed. Everything we talked about when we talked about speed was with the Miami Hurricanes, but I've been impressed with the speed of this Memphis defense.
Third down and a long three. And on to delay, McMillan, second effort, and I don't know, it all depends on the spot. It's going to be very close. He might have just enough for the Miami first down. And more often than not, we have seen McMillan with that second effort pick up some big first down plays, and he just recorded another one right there for Butch Davis. Well, Butch knew he would be in for a dogfight. Let's check in again with Brian Allen. He's on the Memphis sideline.
Yeah, those guys, there's a total change in the mood right now from that interception. They were really hyped up when they got the interception. Then when they threw it, they came back. They're a little down, disappointed. They really wanted to score that time.
Again, McMillan gets the carry. This guy, when he gets in the open field, can do a lot of damage. And that huge offensive line and the talent and depth opened up a great hole. And that time, Hogan's taken completely out of the play, and that leaves nothing but running room for McMillan.
And there was a lot of running room there. You could just see it open up. Right here, you're taking a look. You're the middle linebacker. Right there, you see Casey Jones making a nice block. I mean, there's nobody there. There is no middle linebacker. There's no defensive tackles. It's the secondary that finally gets there to make the play.
A 17-yard run by McMillan there. Not much on this play for the Hurricanes. Well, Commissioner, we mentioned the fact a great matchup here with the perennial power in the Big East, the Miami Hurricanes, and also the Big East is a part of the Liberty Bowl picture, too.
Exactly, Don. Our champion and then the representative of the Big East would be back here in the Liberty Bowl. Conceivably, we could see a rematch in December.
Quite an exciting day it was for Conference USA last night, as Cincinnati and Tulane played in the first CUSA football game ever, and the Green Wave with the upset at Nippert Stadium. There's the dangerous Benton, makes the catch, spins away, and a nice hustling play by the Tiger defense. That could have been another Miami touchdown.
Well, it was Kevin Cobb who tried to make the play on Benton, but he came up. Benton made a nice spin move to gain a few more yards. Right there, get the ball to him quickly, allow him to use his athletic ability.
Check in with Brian Allen. The heat beginning to take effect on some of the Tiger defenders.
Yeah, if you're wondering why Miami's so effective pushing it up there in the middle, it's because Hogan's number 14, one of their stars, he's cramping up out there. This heat's really getting to the players.
That's a 14-yard pickup to Benton. Williams now in the backfield, number 30. The swing pass to McMillan. Oh, and this time Hogan's, we just spoke of him, passed the word. Hogan's is back.
And he cramped McMillan style by putting a big hit on him there. Well, I tell you, if he had any problems cramping, he didn't show it there. See it right here. You can feel this one coming as you see. Oh, and that wasn't with the full impact. That was more of a shoulder arm hit there. And right there you can see the big arms that did that.
The fourth unassisted tackle by Hogan's, a preseason All-Conference USA selection. And McMillan, he darts through his hole, and he darts into the secondary. And McMillan getting the opportunity with Danielle Ferguson suspended for today's game. And you can bet the sophomore from Bradenton, Florida, he is certainly making the most of it.
Taking advantage of the block by the left guard, Richard Mercier right there. You can see it. And Hogan's over pursues a little bit, and McMillan just cuts it back. Right there, using the quickness of that Memphis defense to his advantage.
15 yards, that's 18 carries, and now McMillan goes over the 100-yard mark as he has 105 yards, and now the Miami Hurricanes want to take a timeout, and you see a lot of guys bending at the knees. I think the heat really beginning to take its effect with 1:28 remaining in this third quarter.
Don, that was one of the things we mentioned just before halftime, that Memphis defense had been out there for quite a while. Memphis offense having to control the football to keep them off the field, and with this humidity and as active as that defense is, that's bound to happen, and you can see it taking a toll right now late in the third quarter.
Clement over to the sideline. Covington, who had one brief series in this one. Well, Commissioner, I know you're busy. We want to thank you for stopping by. I know you had an early flight in here today, but I know the excitement obviously generated with Conference USA, and now really the focal point, which really made it all happen, football is underway, and I know you're happy about it. Congratulations.
Thanks, Don. Great to be with you, and great to be with Anthony.
Good seeing you.
Looks good, doesn't he?
He looks great.
Oh, thank you.
I think both teams wanted to put him on the offensive line, too.
It makes you and I look real small, Don.
And real good sometimes, too. Thank you. Commissioner Mike Slive of Conference USA. Now Butch Davis and Rip Shear. You can see them chomping at the bit, ready to get the season underway, and we have certainly had a lot of excitement in this one here. A fumble. It's still on the ground, but I think the Canes were right back on top of it.
That time the Canes threw a little wrinkle into their offense. You've not seen this counter play. They pulled the backside, but that Memphis defense is right there. Let's watch this. Maybe the ball's a little wet from all the perspiration down there. Oh, he never really had control. It was right there. It was a good handoff, but he never had control. He had blockers out in front of him, but you have to get that football first in order to run.
That was Edrin and James, a freshman. Well, that's what the Hurricanes have done since they run for 150 yards, but they don't have that total yet in this one. Here's a pass complete to Benton, and he's hammered, but he's again going to be close to the Hurricane first down.
We saw Clement getting up slow, and that was because number 50, Tremont Lawless, just nailed him as he was throwing the football. We'll take a look at it, and we'll see that that does not feel very good right there. The helmet right in the middle of the sternum. Clement did an excellent job getting that football off.
And you know, because of that pressure, Sutton, had he broken a little bit earlier right there, you could see it on that replay, was in a perfect position to possibly get the INT. So that pressure really changes the passing game. So instead, they go to McMillan, who's trying to fight for the first down, and he's going to be close. Richard Hogan's right there again, 6'2", 245-pound senior from Columbus, Georgia.
Impressive thing about Richard Hogan's is his consistency. 5 of his last 6 games last year, he had 10-plus tackles, and he's just keeping that string going right there. Perfect position, just stick that noggin right in there. making another tackle. This kid is all over the place. In fact, last year he had 18 tackles against Southern Miss.
You know, we talked about those 49 straight games rushing for 100 yards without a loss. That loss, by the way, came in the '87 Fiesta Bowl when they rushed for more than 150 yards and lost by 4 to Penn State in the Fiesta Bowl. The four fingers will be up on both sidelines. That means it's the fourth quarter. Come back with us to the Liberty Bowl. Still plenty of football left. A 10-point game. How about that young Tiger fan? Anthony, I think the young fan going to grow into that hat there.
I tell you, the way kids are growing these days, that hat might be too small.
What about your young man?
I think my son grew into that hat about 6 months older than this kid here.
No doubt about it. But yet, a lot of folks here in the Liberty Bowl today, and the Miami Hurricanes trying to get the '96 season off to the start the way it ended in '95 as they ripped off 7 straight wins. Penalty markers down, a lot of motion. McMillan gets the carry, and I tell you what, this guy, for a little short runner, is a punishing one. And that time the defense, Mike McKenzie on defense from Miami Norland High School, a redshirt freshman on the play, can testify to that fact.
At 169 pounds, seeing this 217, 220-pound back coming full speed. Well, he's saying, come on, guys, give me a little help.
5 yards. Repeat, first down.
So the penalty goes against the Tigers, so the Hurricane offense gets the 5 yards the easy way. Rip Shearer, the success at James Madison, the excitement of this year. The 12th play of this Miami potential scoring drive. The Canes up 17-7. Again the carry. This time he runs into a host of blue shirts. A few quarter notes to pass along. That 67-yard punt return for a touchdown really changed the momentum. The turnovers, Anthony, we talked about that. McMillan's gone over 100 yards.
And key right here, as we talked about, the 150 and the victories. We've been talking about the heat and the cramping, and we noticed that T. Johnson, number 74, is in for Curlin Blaze. And the thing about when you start cramping, you get to a certain point, and it's hard to replenish. Therefore, you're past that point, and you continue to cramp.
Here's the give. Straight up the middle, it goes to Carlo Joseph, and he takes it in for the touchdown, but we have a penalty marker on the play. Came right around the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a holding penalty against the Canes, and that's why Carlo Joseph was able to dance into the end zone.
Yep, that's usually the case. You see that flag thrown right at the offensive lineman's feet. You know, we hate to admit it, but that happens once in a while.
Offense, 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. Repeat, second down.
Let's see if we can find out who holds here. I think it might be right there, the center. You see Tony Williams kind of torquing a little bit, and that to me shows that the center's got him with each hand trying to twist him down to the ground, and that time he's called for holding.
You never held, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
I think once.
Never got caught very often. Ryan Clement to throw and throws a dart into the arms of Magic Benton, who has been a key factor in this game for the Hurricanes. And he's inside the 10-yard line, 11 yards on that pass completion from Ryan Clement, the junior, to the sophomore Magic Benton. Wilkins on the coverage.
Well, we talked about in the opening about the wide receivers that weren't here, how these other guys had to step up, and Magic Benton has been the go-to guy here as you see him pull it down. That's some valuable experience for this sophomore. You know, you get your big guns that aren't here, so it's your great opportunity, just like McMillan getting an opportunity running the football.
This goes to number 30, Nick Williams, who tries to bounce off and get a Miami first down. Well, you mentioned the fact that Magic Benton, he has more receptions in this game than he had all last season. Of course, Jimmy German, the outstanding receiver from a year ago, suspended for the entire season. Rip Shear has gone through a lot of personnel changes, but Ryan Clement, no doubt, is the young man that's going to have to carry this Hurricane team for Butch Davis on the offensive side of the ball. Going to be a little bit short, 4th and 1, and the Canes are going for it. Out of the eye, McMillan, and he has the first down to the 5. Not a whole lot there, but McMillan able to trip himself forward, and that keeps the Miami scoring drive alive. It's going to be 1st and goal just inside the 5-yard line.
The Hurricanes go with 2 tight ends and get some extra push, but you know, he does barely make that as the Memphis defense. Not great penetration, but they hold their ground, which gives them an opportunity to hopefully stop them, as you see right here. Nice block by Carlos Joseph. And McMillan gets the first down.
McMillan, a guy that does move forward, though. He gets the carry again, fumbles the ball, but I think he fumbled it out of bounds at about the 3.
Here we go again. Let's give it to McMillan once again. You see number 30, Nick Williams, not a bad guy to have in front blocking, but it was number 69, Manny Sanchez, making that hit. The ball came out, but it did go out of bounds. Now, what kind of, that'd be a nice changeup. You have McMillan at 217 carrying the ball, and you have Nick Williams back there who runs about 270.
How's that for a blocking fullback?
Blocking fullback, extra guard, whatever you want to call it.
Play action, looked like some movement, no penalty markers that I see. Into the end zone it goes, and it's incomplete. Well, we had a lot of movement prior to the snap, but I don't think there was a penalty marker. At least I don't see one on the turf. Tony Williams might have jumped a little early. And McMillan, the cane that is down on the field.
Well, what happened is the ball was snapped. So once the ball snapped, but it wasn't well orchestrated. I mean, it wasn't coordinated as far as getting off at the same time, but the ball was snapped. That allows everybody to move. He's open. Right there you see he's open for a second, but then number 27, Anthony Reddick's right there to break it up. The ball thrown a second earlier. That's 6 points for Miami, but a nice play by that Memphis defense.
And the attention now focuses on Tyrell McMillan, the sophomore, getting to start today with the absence of Daniel Ferguson, the senior 1,000-yard rusher. And again, you know, without speculating, you don't. But it appears that it might just be a cramp, but because they don't appear to be doing any particular work on the leg, but we'll just have to wait and see. Let's see if we can pick up what happened to number 28.
Ladies and gentlemen, nice round of applause for number 28, Tyrell McMillan.
See him right there. He's tripped by Reddick. Looks like he might have hyperextended the leg, and maybe that caused it to cramp, but hopefully it is a cramp, and he can recover from that. You hate to see anything happen to the knees. But again, with this heat, cramps are really going on down there.
You know, this drive has been over 9 minutes. And that's what the Hurricanes needed when the lead was cut to 10, where it stands now. But will that change? Daphnis makes the stop, or makes the catch, and he fumbled as he was hit immediately, but it's going to be ruled dead at the 4-yard line. But boy, that time the Tiger defense doing some headhunting. I believe it was Marcus Gary again on the play.
Well, they line up a few guys over there, trips to the left, they're crossing and going behind each other, and right there you see Daphnis. Actually, number 4, Mike McKenzie, making the nice hit on the bigger tight end, and he causes that ball to come out, but Miami keeps it.
So a field goal from the 11, make it a 21-yard field goal, and the Canes get it on the board. So it's back to a 20-7 lead now as the Canes move the advantage forward. Back to the Liberty Bowl in a moment. Hurricanes, they won their last 7 in 95, trying to get 96 off in a winning way here in the Liberty Bowl in our Conference USA game of the week. The 20-7 advantage over the Memphis Tigers. It was 3-0 at halftime, but Butch Davis, you know, has to feel a little bit better about things as he encourages his troops from the sideline. That took over 9 minutes, that drive. 9:53. Wow. 19 plays, and boy, that's exactly what they needed. And of course, that drive started after the interception when Memphis was scoring, had a scoring opportunity.
That's a good way to keep your defense fresh and to run down the opposing defense.
We're going to have a chance to see the freshman again, Damian Dotson. And Damian takes it, his best return of the day, across the 20. Close to the 27-yard line. Well, we talked about the scoring drive, a 21-yard return by Dotson, and those are the numbers we talked about, capped with the field goal. But boy, that'll put a hurting to you. Just under 10 minutes. And as you mentioned, Anthony, your defense could change uniforms by then.
Oh my goodness, I tell you, you sit down for 10 minutes and you feel like you've been resting half the afternoon, and I'm sure right now that Hurricane defense is ready to go.
And now on the other hand, the Memphis offense needs to make sure that defense gets a blow, because they actually did hold them to a field goal. Keith Cobb, the junior from Cleveland, Tennessee, getting the carry for the Tigers. 5'10", 173-pounder. Let's check down on the field with Brian Allen. What's the story on McMillan, B?
I know you guys are tired of hearing this story, but McMillan, like most of the other guys who've gone out, he's suffering from exhaustion and cramps.
How about you? You holding up all right?
I'm just fine. I have water. I'm all taken care of. But thanks for asking.
Okay, we just want to make sure you're okay.
That's why I love you guys.
Okay. Anderson on the rollout, under pressure, fires just before he's hit by a Hurricane, and the pass falls incomplete. A lot of pressure that time from Roderick Mack. You know, again, talking to the defensive coordinator, Bill Miller, last night, you talk about Mack. Boy, he had that big smile on his face, didn't he?
That's right. He said all he wants to do is play. And, you know, for a young guy, he's in there, and he's earning a lot of respect by what he's doing today. We have called his number, his name, a whole bunch today.
Kadre Anderson going the entire distance up to this point for the Memphis Tigers. And he has good protection, fires behind Richie Floyd. Now we have a flag back very late, and it might be a late hit, a personal foul against the Canes, roughing the passer, and that is going to be the case.
I believe it's number 96, Kennard Lang, who was not real excited about that flag being thrown as you see him running off the field. But he was the closest back there if it is called roughing the passer.
Personal foul, roughing the quarterback, defense, 15 yards, automatic first down.
The big number 96 does a nice job tossing the offensive lineman, but he takes a couple steps, and he knows better than to continue to put that helmet on that quarterback, especially after he takes 2 steps.
Wasn't any question about that one, and now Lang's going to take a seat on the Miami bench, and he may be there for a while. Looks like he might have injured his left hand as well. Play action again. Anderson looking for Dotson, overthrows him, and it's intercepted. It's picked off by the Hurricanes. Dwayne Starks gets his second INT. He's still on his feet. Penalty markers all over the place. And the Hurricanes will have it back. The penalty markers came after the INT.
Don, it's a shame on this play. You'll see right here, you see Damian Dotson. He actually has the inside position, and if Anderson leads them, if we can just kind of stop it right here, if he leads them to this part of the field, he has a chance for the football, but he throws it to the outside, and that gives Dwayne Starks the opportunity to intercept the football, and he adds on a nice return, but he'll come back a little bit with the penalty. Again, he's got to throw that football to the inside part of the field to give Damian Dotson a chance to come down with it.
Well, Starks has the quickest feet of anybody in the defense.
First down.
But Miami takes over on offense. It's It's 20-7. The Hurricanes led it 3-0 at the intermission. Rip Shear's team. A good defensive battle. Let's check in again with Brian Allen down on the sideline.
Yeah, I'm here with Steve Earhart. He's the commissioner and executive director of the Liberty Bowl. Steve, first of all, it's got to be exciting for you to be here where there's a Big East team playing against a Conference USA team.
That's right. This could be a matchup that could be repeated in the Liberty Bowl because we have the champion of Conference USA against a team from the Big East come December 27th here in Memphis at the Liberty Bowl.
What has it meant for the conference to have that affiliation with the Liberty Bowl?
Well, with the reshaping of the landscape in college football, we'll have a champion of one of the 8 major conferences coming to Memphis, so we're real pleased with the tie-up with the conference.
Tell me real quickly about your affiliation with St. Jude.
Well, the St. Jude Liberty Bowl is the only bowl in America that really has a philanthropic hospital as our title sponsor, and the great work that the foundation that Danny Thomas started here, the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, so we're real proud to be able to bring some notoriety to the hospital.
And how are you feeling about the game today? How are things going for you?
Well, it's a good tight ball game. Miami's going to be a very competitive team, and I think Memphis has shown that they can play with the big guys.
Yeah, you have to be impressed with this Memphis defense, the way they played in the first half and going into the second half.
That's right. They've been fighting them out tooth and nail. It's a great ball game.
There you have it, guys. Back to you.
Okay, Brian, thank you very much. Going to be glad to have you with us all season long. Here's a long one intended downfield for Ryan Clement. Well, to get to the Liberty Bowl, the St. Jude Liberty Bowl, the Big East 4th place team will face the Conference USA champion unless East Carolina has a better record, so 7-4 or better than the Conference USA champion. Of course, it's pretty much a lock that East Carolina is going to be the newest member of Conference USA. But, you know, and what Brian and Steve were talking about, the St. Jude Hospital here, they do so much, not only through the Liberty Bowl, but through the golf tournaments. It's really, really a great thing that Danny Thomas, as they mentioned, started years ago, and just warms your heart to see what's been done here in the Memphis area. This one goes to Benton. He's got that great speed. It's a foot race, and nobody's going to catch Magic Benton, and he has been the offensive story of this game for the Miami Hurricanes as he takes this one 73 yards, and Ryan Clement, a very happy quarterback.
He's a happy quarterback, and he has to be happy with his other wide receiver, Jermaine Chambers. You see, he just left the screen there, but he actually gets a key block. Cobb tries to come off and make the tackle, but he's pretty much off balance because of Chambers' block, and that allows Benton to go right up the sideline, and no way he is going to be caught, and it's 6 points. That was Don Hasselwood who was making the attempt, 5'11", 199 junior, but he didn't get him.
Crossland good with the extra point. That one covered a lot of yardage, as we mentioned, 73. We have a penalty marker to hold the phone here. 9 receptions for Benton in the game as he's reaching close to that 150-yard mark. We'll have to check out the penalty flags. Both teams are going to the sideline, so probably whatever it is, it'll either be declined or we'll most likely we'll see it on the kickoff, but we'll wait and see what the officials end up with, this Big East crew.
Yeah. We have personal fouls, both teams, penalties offset. We'll kick off from the 35.
Rip Shear now has a long way to go. Not much time remaining. 8 minutes is a lot, but his team's down 20 points, 27-7.
The Thompson Hill Chair in Accounting.
Chair in Management Information Systems.
And Maury Moss Chair in Urban Education.
Stone Chair in Molecular Biology.
Wang Chair.
Only one Tennessee university offers 22 chairs of excellence, the University of Memphis. Expecting a great college education, we have a seat waiting for you. For information, call 1-800-669-2678. The University of Memphis. Great expectations.
Need credit to buy a car or truck? Call 1-800-400-3645 now. Don Reed Ford has fast, easy credit for people who have credit problems. If divorce, student loans, medical bills, or even bankruptcy has damaged your credit, call 1-800-400-3645 now and get the credit and respect you deserve. Call Don Reed Ford now. 1-800-400-3645.
The beauty of football on TNT is that so often a man is called upon to do something beyond his capabilities.
Beautiful beautiful.
And he does it.
Oh, man!
The NFL on TNT, Sunday nights. Don't miss a game.
Courtesy Auto Group, Saturn, Pontiac, Acura, Suzuki, Isuzu, Kia, and quality used cars.
The Hurricanes looking for their 8th straight win going back to last year. A 20-point advantage over the Memphis Tigers. And tonight, boy, the Big 12. Will that be a conference in football and basketball? But in football, the Missouri Tigers, and they take on number 8, the Texas Longhorns. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. on the West Coast. And the Kentucky Wildcats and the Cincinnati Bearcats will be our telecast next week. 3:30 Eastern Time, 12:30 on the West Coast. Hope you'll be with us from Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati.
My backyard. You'll just come right up the road from your place, and we'll be in my backyard there in Clifton, the campus of UC.
We look forward to it. And the Miami special teams, good coverage that time as Damian Dotson started his return that ended up 10 yards. He ran into one of the Hurricanes, Rodriguez.
Right here you see Damian Dotson. Thinks he's got some blocking, but Rodriguez is right there to bulldog him down. Saying, hey guys, give me a little blocking. I'm new at this on this level.
One of those eager special teams players for the Hurricanes. This one complete to Floyd across the middle. And it's a Memphis first down out to about the 26-yard line. Tremaine Mack, the strong side safety out of Tyler, Texas.
Right here you see him, number 86, Richie Floyd. You know, it's not like Anderson's been pressured all afternoon. He's had some pretty good time. Right there you see the nice hands that Richie Floyd has, going up high with his hands, catching it and bringing it right into his body.
Anderson to throw. This one complete to the freshman, Damian Dotson. And it's going to be another Memphis first down if they mark it where it indicates that it will be, or at least it's going to be very close. Nope, it is the first down.
Take another look at the freshman. The local freshman, who along with his teammate Kenton Evans, signed here and now playing for Memphis. Nice little out, getting that separation. Right there, takes it and goes out of bounds for the first down.
A bad exchange. Anderson able to get it back for the Tigers. It'll be no gain. You know, we've talked a lot about Damian Dotson. The other star of the future, Kenton Evans, a freshman from here at Memphis. Both played at Westwood High School. Of course, we're seeing a lot of Dotson today and have a chance to talk about the future plans that they have for Kenton Evans as the season moves along. 27-7. This one off the hands of Cobb coming out of the backfield. And there you see Kenton Evans, 6'4", 190-pound freshman from Westwood. He passed for 10,519 yards and 112 touchdowns, and a lot of them went to Damian Dotson.
That is amazing. That's in 3 years of high school football. That's what's amazing.
And the plans for Evans is for him to get playing time this season. We felt pretty much that he wouldn't get to play today. Right across the middle, it goes in and out of the hands of the receiver, Kerry Cobb. Marcus Wimberly was there for the KD. But, you know, quarterback's a whole different situation.
See, now you're looking from the viewpoint of a defensive back. You see the ball coming right over. It's nicely thrown there, but Cobb cannot hold on to it just as he's being hit. That's a catchable ball. You know you're going to get hit, especially going over the middle. You have to grab it with your hands. He tried to cradle it in his body, and it did not happen for him.
The Tigers forced the punt. I guess Benton's had enough. He decides to fair catch this one. He said, hey, I've run one back for a touchdown. I got a long touchdown reception. And Paramore, probably after he was knocked a little bit silly earlier. He was probably glad to see the hand go in the air. What do you think?
Glad to see the fair catch and know that they weren't going to make an attempt, because he got rocked. I mean, you know, I don't think the kickers practice a whole lot on defending blockers and making tackles. I mean, maybe you can help me with that. And that was, I mean, that was a big hit for a punter to take.
20-yard punt. But you know what kickers do? They work on getting out of the way and avoiding contact. And a good opportunity now for the Hurricanes to get in. Edgerrin James, we saw him a little bit earlier with a carry. He's a 6', 220-pound freshman, a Parade High School All-American.
Now Miami in a position just to turn. You see Covington now, the quarterback, just turning and handing the ball, letting his offensive lineman just pound away. 7 minutes left. They got a 20-point lead. And this is the point in the game where an offensive lineman just loves it, because you can just get a little more weight going forward, just fire off and run block.
So the Hurricanes getting some fresh faces into the lineup and some fresh legs. Once again, it's James. He only played in 5 games in his senior year in high school due to an elbow injury, but boy, they like this 6', 200-pound plus freshman who signed very late. As we mentioned, the fact Butch Davis feels good, and you can see him still encouraging his team on the sideline. I tell you, I admire Butch the way he's handled so much of the off-field problems. He certainly has dealt with it, put it aside, we move on, he says. Once again, it goes to James, the freshman. Tell me, he doesn't want some clock. He's still going. Finally comes to rest after another Miami first down.
Let's talk a little O-line. You get those offensive linemen that are run blocking, moving their feet, maintaining contact. You have 72 Callejas in there working. You have number 61 Jay Ina working. Just working. They know that defense has been out there for a long time, and they're just going to keep turning those feet, pushing backwards.
A 15-yard pickup, and now Nick Williams, the fullback, that backs up Carlo Joseph. You mentioned the fact Williams, 6'1", 269-pound sophomore from Farmington Hills, Michigan, had only 1 carry last year. Of course, Miami known in the past, of course, the Alonzo Highsmith. Carlo Joseph, by the way, was a linebacker, just the way Highsmith was when he was moved to fullback. And Scott Covington, the sophomore from California, getting a chance other than in the shadow of his own goal line. How about James again? They're going to ride this horse down the field, and another Miami first down. So with 5 minutes and change, the Hurricane depth really beginning to show.
It really is, and we talk about that offensive line depth. They have a lot of new guys in there. Great move on the running back's part to keep the ball inbounds, keep the clock running, keep the chains moving, keep the clock running. Just under 5 minutes now.
Now you can know that 19-play, 9-minute and 53-second drive really took the starch out of the the Memphis defense. Penalty marker down as Carlo Joseph gets the carry. But we'll have to check out the flag. Marquise Bowling, the sophomore left in, appears to be a little bit shaken, as you see him right here, number 91. Can't you imagine being on the field for nearly 10 minutes in this heat?
Set illegal formation, offense, 5 yards, repeat the down, first down.
Joseph and Williams both, they know which way to go, don't they? They're north and south guys.
They sure are. And you mentioned, the time on the field. I know it's tough offensively, to be on there that long, but not quite as tough as it is for a defensive player. How about this? Another lineman in there for the Miami Hurricanes, Shabaka Abdul Mohid.
I'm glad you had that. Did it well, my friend. Here comes James again. He cuts it to the outside, finally pulled down inside the 10. Check check in with Brian Allen down on the sideline. B.
That young man, that special player that you guys talked about earlier, Kitten Evans, the freshman from Memphis, a fan favorite. He's warming up right over my shoulder here. Looks like he's going to get his chance to preview himself here in the Memphis crowd.
James, 5 carries, 56 yards. Talking about Kitten Evans, talking to Sparky Woods, he said, we know we want to work him in, but he said, you know, he's doing great. He's a quick learner. He's picked up the system, but he said, something happened. School started. He had to, you know, get his books, go to class, and he said, all of a sudden, you know, things start to spin around a freshman's head. Look at this second effort, and look at the Memphis defense closing in on Carlo Joseph.
That is tough. You know, as a quarterback, you're in learning the system, learning what everybody's doing, all the pass routes and multiple fronts, and all of a sudden you got class to deal with. Right here you see Carlos Joseph, one guy, another guy saying, nah, get a few more guys here. You can't take me down. 3 guys. Tony Williams says, well, I might as well get a piece of them. And all of a sudden, Carlos Joseph goes down.
Well, you know, the Tigers have really put up a good fight today against the Hurricanes. A special team breakdown as much as anything. This pass incomplete, intended for Trent Jones. Of course, the Hurricanes ranked 11th. Many feel they'll be much better than that. They're looking at their 8th straight win going back to last year. They will be eligible for the bowl. But you know, a lot of the things that we highlighted at the beginning of the telecast that have happened to Miami, unlike maybe some other situations with Butch Davis at the helm, it's really pulled everybody together. It's kind of them against the outsiders. And boy, I tell you what, they have stayed focused despite the fact they're about 9 people short than they expected at the beginning of camp. It's a 30-7 game after the 25-yard field goal. The Canes look like they're going to get the win to begin 96. Now from the mighty Mississippi, inside the Liberty Bowl we go. The Miami Hurricanes, a perennial power in the Big East. Looks like they're going to be that again this year. But it was a 3-0 ball game as the Memphis Tigers had put up a valiant effort here. The freshman thought about bringing that one out, Dotson, but then thought better of it. He said, wait a minute. We've got 2 minutes and 49 seconds remaining. We've got 10 more games to go, and Rip Shear probably said pretty good decision for a freshman. And speaking of Evans, Kitten Evans gets a round of applause from the folks here in the Liberty Bowl because he and Dotson, as Westwood High School teammates, just electrified high school football in this area.
Well, now it's time to put that Gatorade Circle of Champions winner award away, the Mr. Tennessee Football Back of the Year award away. It's time to move on into his college career, and here he gets his first opportunity.
Sean Sands, the ball carrier, he's an interesting story. First of all, he's the nephew of Michael Irvin, former Miami Hurricane, of course, and now the Dallas Cowboys. His brother Tony Sands is the all-time leading rusher at the University of Kansas, and Sean from Plantation, Florida, followed his brother and transferred from Kansas here to Memphis. And of course, he's a redshirt sophomore. First time he touched the ball last year as a receiver, scored a touchdown as a collegiate. That doesn't happen very often. Here's a look at Evans. He's still on his feet, scrambles around, throws it too tall over the hands of the young man who we're just referring to, Sean Sands.
Evans, a big kid, 6'4", around 6'4", 6'5", about 190 pounds. I mean, for a kid that's a freshman, true freshman coming out of high school, that had excellent size. Watching him at practice the other day, has a pretty good arm, can throw the ball extremely well, very mobile, quick, a lot of athletic ability.
Evans takes a snap, fires this one out, too tall.
The reason that ball was thrown high was the pressure by number 75, Damon Neely, who weighs a mere 300 pounds, was right in Evans' face, forced that ball to be thrown high.
Rashad Bailey, the intended receiver, number 34. And that'll be a punting situation for Drew Paramore. We mentioned the fact earlier, the block punt really early in the third quarter. That changed the whole momentum of the game right there.
It really did. I mean, that gave Miami the ball on the 1-yard line. And I take my chances of scoring from there.
Magic Benton makes this reception of the punt and immediately goes down. Good coverage that time after a 35-yard punt off the toe of Paramore. As you see Covington. Ryan Clement ended up 17 to 26, 211 yards, a touchdown and an interception for the junior in his first start in the 96 season as we get the year underway. Anthony mentioned the fact a lot of Hurricanes, they have that depth in the offensive line. 9 different guys that really can play and play a lot. And a good opportunity. And once again, even more pressure on the Memphis defense facing those fresh O-linemen. Number 21, James Jackson. He's another freshman, 5'11", 270-pounder. Patrick Stiles, who's in at middle linebacker now for Richard Hogan's on the play. Jackson, a hard-nosed player. Out of Belglade, Florida. Didn't enroll till January, so he had to become a part of the Miami program that was already short of scholarships because of the previous probation and sanctions prior to the arrival of Butch Davis. On the delay, Jackson, who we talked about, gets the carry. Well, you know, Anthony, we're seeing a valiant effort today from a Tiger team that much maligned last year, put the ball on the ground a lot, but they're facing a Miami team with a lot of depth. And as you know, I think you can see with the depth in the running back, keeping in mind that Ferguson's not even here today, the 1,000-yard rusher, that Miami should have a lot of success running the football, and that's what they want to do.
Exactly. They want to emphasize the run. They want to run about 60% two backs in their offensive sets, and that allows them to run the football, and they've done that today. Even without Ferguson, they've been able to run the football. And on the other side of the football, you look at Memphis, and even though it is a 30-7 score right now, you know, you take away those special teams mistakes, the block punt, the punt return for a touchdown, and they have played well defensively. Offensively, they've had some opportunities. After Miami scored, had the momentum, their offense stormed back, scored a touchdown. So, you know, it has to look good for the coaching staff, but still you can't be satisfied with what's happened here this afternoon.
There's a punt and a high one. Carr had it, lost it, picks it back up. And it'll be 1st and 10 for the Memphis Tigers as Rip Shear, after that 41-yard punt, sends the freshman Kenton Evans back into the quarterback position for the Tigers.
Don, and there's another play right there by Chauncey Carr that will get some attention during the reviewing of films. You know, sure, it's late in the ball game, you're losing the game, but you don't want to take a chance of turning the football over. You know, you start to get into those habits. You know, be safe. You know, right there you had the guys breathing down your throat and you almost lose it. I'm sure something will be said about that also.
14 seconds remaining in this one. 30-7, the Hurricanes. Evans scrambling and throwing. Complete to Kerry Cobb. And now they rule incomplete. They say that it was trapped by the redshirt senior out of Jackson, Tennessee. Kenton Evans, who with Damian Dotson really put this Memphis program in the right direction by making that commitment. I mean, these guys were recruited by Texas, UCLA, many of the top programs. Butch Davis, I was kidding him. I said, hey, with South Florida, you can recruit on a tank of gas. You don't have to even get any air flights. But, you know, of course, it's a national program. But, boy, the South Florida area, really the entire state of Florida, so many Division I football players come out each year. This will be the final play of the game, barring a penalty, and it's in and out of the hands of a Memphis Tiger, and the Miami Hurricanes pick up where they left off last year as Butch Davis had to fight off a real real scrappy Tiger team of the University of Memphis as Rip Shear and Butch Davis get together at midfield. And the Miami Hurricanes now have won 8 straight going back to last season as they get the final count over the Tigers here in the Liberty Bowl, 30-7. Big day for the Miami offense after the special teams and defense really did a good job to put the game in position for the Hurricanes to really take control. And then that 9-minute and 53-second drive that was 19 plays, that just completely wore down an already tired Memphis defense.
That was a killer. That was a big killer. Anytime you get your players on there that long, it's going to take a lot out of them.
Let's get down on the sideline now to Brian Allen. Brian?
The defense. What was the key for strong defensive performance in the first half?
Well, we played, I thought we played relatively well defensively the entire game, but we broke down in the kicking game 2 big plays, and it just turned the complexion of the game. We gave them a big play on the pass completion later on, but I think the complexion of the game was changed with the kicking game.
Now, what kind of things are you going to look to improve on for next week's game?
Well, obviously, we've got to do something with our punting game. We had 2 scores that we gave up through the punting game. We've got to look at that, and our kicking game was disappointing overall.
And Quadri, he really did a great job containing him. What are they doing so special?
Well, they're nothing. They're playing their defense. They're just a great defensive team. They run well. They're a good football team. They're not ranked 11th in the country by accident.
All right, guys, looks like the special teams was the story today.
It was indeed 30-7. Miami wins it. Special teams and a guy by the name of Magic Benton. Back to the Liberty Bowl in a moment.